Chapter 5058. Interesting martial soul. But do you think you can avoid death with this? Too naive. The man in red disappeared again and merged into the axe's shadow. It was as if he had never existed. However, that terrifying oppressive might was still very obvious to everyone. Next was a series of mysterious moves. Every move was incomparably tyrannical, yet extremely mysterious. It made Ling Xiao realize the strength of the eternal god realm martial artists. He seemed to be in a world of axe shadows. In the void, danger was everywhere. Axe shadows were everywhere. If he was not careful, he could lose his life. Even if he had released Universe of Tyrant, it could only save his life. It was very difficult to fight back. Drunken dream. The man in red attacked again. It was another move to tease people. The axe shadow flashed, and it could make people hallucinate, as if they were in a drunken dream. It was impossible to distinguish the real attack. In the end, it was as if they were killed in their sleep. Real death. You want to play illusion with me? You chose the wrong person. Ling Xiao thought that his moves and physical defense were not as good as his opponent's. But he would not lose to his opponent in soul power. He opened his heavenly demon eye, and a terrible soul power rushed out. The surrounding environment instantly collapsed. At this time, the terrible axe had reached Ling Xiao's head. The terrible killing intent was incomparably cold. If it was an ordinary person, they would not even be able to move. Even Ling Xiao felt that his movements were very stiff. The situation was very dangerous. Emperor Prime Body. At this critical moment, a figure flew out of Ling Xiao's head and blocked the man in red's killing blow with his body. At the same time, the Emperor Prime Body was seriously injured and had to return to Ling Xiao's body to recuperate. Of course, Ling Xiao used this opportunity to launch a counterattack. The Void God, sword in his hand, released the 9-word style again. 9 sword lights burst out and forced the man in red to retreat. Swish! But in the next moment, the man in red appeared again. He was so fast that Ling Xiao did not have time to think at all. The axe in his hand flew out, spinning as it chopped towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao furrowed his brows. This red-clothed man was really too difficult to deal with. Once he started attacking, he would not give his opponent any chance to breathe. He didn't even allow his opponent to think. If Ling Xiao hadn't been used to this kind of high-pressure fighting method, he would have died long ago. Ling Xiao's current problem was that he had no effective means to counterattack. Although the 9-word style's power had increased due to the Void God sword's leveling up, the opponent was simply too fast. The Dragon God's frost array diagram was not very effective against the red-clothed man. It could even be said that it had no effect at all. There's still a difference in the quality of Shen Yuan. The laws of the eternal divine realm were completely different from the laws of the 4 realms and 9 worlds. Although they were both made of divine essence, the difference in quality was too great. It was already extremely rare for Ling Xiao to be able to defeat martial artists of the same cultivation level. When facing a martial artist at the 6th level of the divine physique echelon, unless he had the help of his companions, he would have to unleash the universe of tyrants. If he encountered a 7th level divine physique echelon martial artist, he wouldn't be able to win even if he released the universe of tyrants. Even his life was in danger. Fortunately, he had a way to modify the quality of Shen Yuan. Otherwise, there really would be no other way. But this also meant that his cultivation level would not be able to improve while he was modifying the quality of Shen Yuan. The energy in the sea of cultivation that had previously been used to improve his Shen Yuan was also used to modify it. Currently, the modification of Shen Yuan was only 1 in 10,000. It was still very far away. Today, I have to be a little more shameless. Let's attack together. Ling Xiao knew that he was no match for the red-clothed man alone. So he put aside his boring dignity. He called out Little Gold, Long Chun, Yufeng Hua, and Cold Plum. The 5 of them joined forces. The red-clothed man was clearly no match for them. The 5 of them had worked together many times and had long since developed a tacit understanding. Their combined strength was definitely stronger than the red-clothed man's. In less than 10 minutes, the red-clothed man's finger that wore a storage ring was chopped off. It was so painful that the guy howled like a beast. "Kid, remember this. I'm Shwehongi, the young master of the Dual Axes gang. I'll definitely come back for revenge." With a howl, Shwehongi's figure flashed and disappeared from the martial spirit barrier. Ling Xiao vaguely saw that Shwehongi had used a talisman. It seemed that talismans were more useful in the eternal divine realm. They could even break through the martial spirit barrier. This was too terrifying. "Shwehongi, I'll remember this. The next time we meet, I'll defeat you alone. Let's go." Ling Xiao was certain that Shwehongi would definitely bring people to find them after returning to Dual Axis City. If they did not leave now, when would they? Suddenly, an ear-piercing alarm sounded in the direction of Dual Axis City. A large number of martial artists rushed out from the city gate. At this time, Ling Xiao had already turned and fled. He had no choice but to hide in the dense forest for the time being. Although Dual Axis City was powerful, it was still limited. It was impossible for them to control the dense forest. "Kid, I've already remembered your face. No matter where you jump, Shwehongi, will take your life." Ling Xiao, who had already disappeared into the dense forest, heard Shwehongi's angry roar. He couldn't help but shake his head. He had just arrived in the eternal divine realm, and he had already encountered such a powerful opponent. This was definitely not a good thing. However, he had learned a lot from these battles. His companions had also benefited greatly. Although their cultivation methods were different from Ling Xiao's, they all had their own ways to adapt to the battles here. Xiao Jin relied on devouring. Long Chen and Yu Fanghua relied on awakening. Cold Plum relied on absorbing the power of nature. Ling Xiao relied on fighting. Now that they had entered the dense forest, they had completely lost their way. After all, they were unfamiliar with this place. They didn't know where to go. However, they were already very familiar with this kind of situation. They felt that the dense forest was safer than the city. After entering the dense forest, Ling Xiao released all 4 of them. Xiao, Jin, and Longqin had treasures that could ward off demonic aura, so they were naturally not afraid. Although Ling Xiao's trip to Dual Axis City had been dangerous, he had also gained a lot. "Let's see what's in this kid's storage ring." Ling Xiao forcefully erased Blood Red Robe's soul imprint. He checked Blood Red Robe's storage ring. He's really rich. After bidding for several treasures, he actually has nearly 1,000,000 supreme-grade spirit stones. He's really rich. Let's split these treasures. As for the storage ring, Fanghua, take that beautiful thing that Blood Red Robe spent so much effort to bid for. It's a bargain for us. Give Blood Red Robe's storage ring to Cold Plum. Ladies first. Xiao Jin, Long Qin, bear with it. As Ling Xiao spoke, he had already distributed the Emperor weapon with a divine dragon pattern that Blood Red Robe had won. At this point, the 5 of them had at least one Emperor weapon with a divine dragon pattern. Ling Xiao had the Qinkuan world. Yu Fanghua and Cold Plum also had very good storage rings. Long Chen and Xiao Jin's were a little lacking, but they could still adapt to the eternal divine realm storage rings. Chapter 50-59. Ling Xiao kept 600,000 supreme-grade spirit stones for himself. The remaining 400,000 were divided equally among the other 4. No one knew when they would be separated, so everyone had some supreme-grade spirit stones, which were more suitable for survival in the eternal God realm. Although they didn't want to be separated, there were many things in this world that didn't go as planned. Ling Xiao had already experienced such things many times, so his heart was much calmer. Anyway, even if they were separated, they would meet again sooner or later. Because they were all monsters who could stand on their own, they would definitely rise to the top in the eternal God realm. "Protect me. I'm going to refine some pills to speed up our integration into the eternal God realm. Ling Xiao had bid for the mystical yellow dragon wormwood. Originally, he would need some supplementary materials to refine the mystical yellow dragon wormwood elixir. However, he had collected all the necessary materials from Shui Hongyi's storage ring. It would be best if he could refine it as soon as possible. The eternal God realm's power of laws was too strong, so he had to use immortal fire to refine the mystical yellow dragon wormwood. Even immortal fire couldn't do it, let alone ordinary fire. Ling Xiao knew very well that this wasn't a problem with the flame itself, but the quality of his divine essence was too weak. As long as the quality of his divine essence improved, this wouldn't be a problem. The process of refining pills was actually very dangerous. This was because the fragrance of the herbs would attract the surrounding monsters. Ling Xiao had set up an array to conceal the aura, so he dared to refine pills in the wilderness. Even so, monsters still attacked during the process. Fortunately, this place was relatively close to Dual Axe City, so the monsters weren't too strong. Yu Fenghua and the others treated this as training for their combat skills. After a round of fighting, they killed the monsters. Little Gold even swallowed the monsters' crystal cores. At this point, Little Gold could no longer just swallow heat. As he swallowed the devil fetus, his strength increased. He could now swallow everything in the world. This was more beneficial for his future improvement. About an hour later, the pills were refined. 1 stalk of mystical yellow dragon wormwood was refined into 10 perfect mystical yellow dragon wormwood elixirs. The effects of the mystical yellow dragon wormwood elixir varied according to the materials used. The profound yellow Longhao pill that Ling Xiao refined was suitable for all divine body realm martial practitioners. After giving one to each of his 4 companions, Ling Xiao also swallowed one for himself. Then the 5 of them began to convert the medicinal effects. Ling Xiao released the god-defying Tao Tai, the blood demon king, the demon sovereign, and the divine sovereign to protect him. A profound yellow Longhao pill increased the quality of Ling Xiao's divine essence a little more. If an ordinary cultivator in the eternal divine domain had a grade 10 divine origin, then the divine origin would be at the 10th level. Ling Xiao's current divine essence quality had just risen to level 1. Previously, he couldn't even reach level 1. The quality of the other 4 people's divine essence was comparable to Ling Xiao's. Although their cultivation bases were at the peak of the 7th level of the divine physique realm, their actual combat strength was only equivalent to the early 6th level of the divine physique realm. Ling Xiao's battle prowess was slightly higher than theirs, but it was still within the range of the 6th level of the divine physique echelon. In other words, Ling Xiao's ability to challenge someone 1 level higher than him was already very extravagant. Moreover, his chances of winning were extremely low. Everyone had finished converting the profound yellow Longhao pill and tempered the divine essence in their bodies. Their current divine essence level was level 1. It was still a long way from the divine essence level of an ordinary cultivator in the eternal divine domain, not to mention those geniuses. For example, Shui Hongyi. Let's go. No matter what, we have to continue moving forward. Only in this way can we continue to become stronger. Ling Xiao stood up and looked at the dense forest. Given their current situation, perhaps the wilderness was the best place to train. Just as they were about to set off, a loud noise suddenly came from not far away. Someone is fighting. The 5 of them came to the same conclusion, and the distance is very close. Ling Xiao frowned. The loud noise kept coming and was getting closer. The sound of battle kept coming from the dense forest, and it was coming in their direction. Let's hide first. Ling Xiao called out to everyone and chose a hidden place to hide. Who exactly was fighting with the demon beasts? They were also very curious. What's more, this might be another opportunity. Ling Xiao still hoped to meet a cultivator like Su Hai. That way, he would be able to obtain more information about the eternal divine domain. Only with more detailed information could he truly explore the eternal divine domain. He sensed that the aura of the demon beast and the human cultivator had both reached the 6th level of the divine physique echelon. However, their destructive power didn't seem to be as exaggerated as imagined. If experts of this level fought in the 4 domains and 9 worlds, large areas of mountains and rivers would probably be destroyed. But here, even the trees didn't seem to be so easily destroyed. However, Ling Xiao believed that he definitely wouldn't be able to withstand such an attack. Soon, they could see the situation of the battle, because the opponent was already 100 meters away. What surprised Ling Xiao the most was that the cultivator who had been fighting and retreating was actually one of the cultivators by the side of the blue-dressed woman he had met in Dual Axe City. He didn't have any obvious dislike for the blue-dressed woman. He just felt that she was rich. The cultivator by her side was probably just a follower. The demon beast that was chasing this cultivator was just an ordinary-looking fire wolf. It looked ordinary, but its combat power was terrifying. Ling Xiao believed that even they would find it difficult to defeat it alone. Little Gold, this fire wolf is a great supplement for you. Ling Xiao smiled at Little Gold. Although Little Gold could now devour all things, because of the golden crow's body, its ability to devour heat was greater. Regardless of whether it was lightning, fire, or lava, they were all heat. That's right. Little Gold's eyes shone with excitement. Ling Xiao wasn't the only one who was stimulated by the blood-red robe's power. He was the same. Therefore, he wanted to raise the level of his divine essence as soon as possible. The fire wolf wasn't too big. It was about 2 meters tall and 3 meters long, but no one dared to underestimate it. After being tempered by the eternal divine domain's power of laws, this fire wolf was terrifying beyond the imagination of the cultivators of the 4 domains and 9 worlds. Whether it was defense or attack, it was terrifying. Obviously, that cultivator was no match for the fire wolf. At this moment, he was being chased by the fire wolf. His clean clothes had been burned to the point that there were holes all over his body. There was a burning smell. Even his hair was burnt in many places by the flames. Ling Xiao didn't know why this person was here and why he was being chased by the fire wolf. But he had to help Little Gold take down this fire wolf. He wasn't interested in saving people, but it wasn't bad to save someone along the way. This might be their opportunity to integrate into the eternal divine domain. Little Gold, I'll attack the fire wolf later. Devour it while it's weak. Long Chen, Feng Hua, Cold Plum, the 3 of you pay attention to the surroundings. Be careful not to get surrounded. Also, pay special attention to that cultivator. Don't have the heart to harm others, but don't let your guard down. Ling Xiao began to give orders. The attack quickly took shape. He waited for the cultivator and the fire wolf to get close to each other before suddenly attacking. Mobile version of the website. Chapter 5060. 100 meters away, the martial artist was running for his life. The fire wolf was chasing him frantically. A path of flames was burning along the way. However, it didn't ignite the nearby trees. It seemed that the flames weren't strong enough. The martial artist wasn't weak, but facing the fire wolf, he was forced into a desperate situation. He didn't even have the strength to run now. You're lucky. Little Gold is attacking. Ling Xiao glanced at the martial artist. They'd only met once, and they didn't like each other. But because Ling Xiao wanted the fire wolf's crystal core, the martial artist was really lucky. He was about to be rescued. The figure dashed out of the forest, the void god sword stabbing out accurately. At the same time, the ox demon fist in his left hand was completed. The fire wolf rushed over. It didn't expect an ambush in the forest at all. Plus, it was too big to react in time. Its weak eye was pierced by the 9-word style of the void god art. Ling Xiao had purposely chosen this position. After the void god sword leveled up, its power increased. Plus, it attacked the weak spot, so the success rate was higher. The snarling fire wolf fell to the ground. Ling Xiao didn't give it a chance to breathe. The ox demon fist smashed into the fire wolf's wound. Little Gold attacked at the same time, releasing the golden light of the 9 hells' yellow springs, which pierced the fire wolf's other eye. Then it opened its bloody mouth and swallowed the fire wolf whole. Demon beasts chasing humans and then being killed by humans. This was common whether in the 4 realms, 9 realms, or the eternal divine realm. Ling Xiao didn't pretend to sympathize with the fire wolf, because if the fire wolf had discovered them first, it would have attacked them or even eaten them. The law of the jungle applied not only to demon beasts, but also to humans. The battle ended in a short dozen seconds. It was a sneak attack, plus Ling Xiao and Little Gold's ingenious cooperation. And the quality of their divine essence was much higher than before, so it was easier to succeed. The martial artist had stopped running. Seeing this shocking scene, he couldn't come to his senses for a long time. Such a powerful fire wolf had been killed in an instant. This made him realize that the people in front of him weren't ordinary. "Boss, it seems like my divine energy has been raised to level 2. The benefits of devouring the fire wolf were great. Although Little Gold's cultivation had not increased, the level of his divine essence increased. This meant that his current combat strength had become much stronger than before. He was becoming more and more like an ordinary eternal divine realm cultivator. Thank you so much." After the initial shock, the man hurried over and thanked Ling Xiao profusely. "Don't worry about it. It's nothing much." Ling Xiao said indifferently, "Your Excellency is too polite." "My name is Lan Qin, a martial artist from Blue Sea City. We met at the Blood Axe Tower." The martial artist smiled and said, "Speaking of which, I'm ashamed. Miss sent me to find you, saying that she has something important to discuss. In the end, I was targeted by this fire wolf and almost lost my life. Your young lady is looking for me?" Ling Xiao thought of the woman in the blue dress. Although he didn't trust any strangers, he still had to make some friends if he wanted to integrate into this world. Although there were many cunning people in this world, there were also people worth befriending. He had met many in the 4 realms and 9 worlds. He should be able to meet them in the eternal divine realm. "That's right. Your Excellency is an alchemist, right?" Lan Qin asked with a smile. "How did you know?" Ling Xiao was curious. "It wasn't me. The young lady deduced it. When you were at the Blood Axe Tower, you offered 50,000 supreme-grade spirit stones for the Xianhuang Tarragon. The young lady guessed that you might be an alchemist. Our Blue Sea City welcomes alchemists very much. The young lady wishes to discuss business with you." Lan Qin explained. "Your young lady is a smart person. But is Blue Sea City far from here?" Ling Xiao asked. He had to make contact with people sooner or later. Just running around wasn't enough. Therefore, he planned to make contact with the woman in the blue dress from Blue Sea City first. "It's not far. Blue Sea City's territory borders Dual Axe City. The distance between the cities is only about 10 miles. If you go from here, it's even closer, about 5 miles. I wonder if Your Excellency would like to come with me to meet the young lady?" Lan Qin asked. "My pleasure." Ling Xiao nodded. Although there might be danger, he couldn't miss the opportunity just because he was afraid of danger. "Great. In this case, I can complete the task and not be afraid of the young lady's scolding." Lan Qin breathed a sigh of relief. "Then I'll have to trouble Brother Lan to lead the way," Ling Xiao said with a smile. "Okay." Lan Qin pointed in one direction and then led everyone through the dense forest. Due to the influence of the power of law, they consumed too much energy to fly now. It was faster to travel on the ground. On the way, Lan Qin seemed to want to distract Ling Xiao and deliberately chatted with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao also wanted to take the opportunity to understand the situation of the Golden Martial Kingdom, so the two had a tacit understanding. To be honest, Brother Lon, we are from the 4 regions and 9 realms. We are the chosen seeds. We want to find a force to rely on. I wonder if Brother Lon can recommend us? Ling Xiao didn't lie. He thought that the best way to reach a place was to find a force to rely on. That way they could slowly grow. Although it was refreshing to fight alone, it was too dangerous. Seeds. No wonder. There have been chosen seeds who passed by Blue Sea City before. Lan Qin didn't seem surprised. This confirmed Ling Xiao's guess. There were many seeds who arrived at the eternal oracle from the 4 regions and 9 realms, but those who could live and grow were probably dependent on a certain force. Otherwise, only death awaited them. Our Blue Sea City welcomes genius warriors like you to join us, especially since you're an alchemist. You just need to talk to our young lady. If you want to join Blue Sea City, it will be as easy as turning your hand. Blue Sea City and Dual Axe City, which is stronger? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Hearing this question, Lan Qin smiled and said, "Of course, our Blue Sea City is stronger, but Dual Axe City isn't weak either, because our 2 cities are close to the land of exile. We are often attacked by demon beasts or rebels. Therefore, our combat power is very strong. In the Golden Martial Kingdom, we're ranked within the top 100. Those trashy forces outside the top 100 can't compare to us." So that's how it is. Ling Xiao nodded, but his face was full of doubt. Seeing this expression, Lan Qin wasn't happy. He spoke the information that he shouldn't have divulged. "It seems that you don't believe me. To tell you the truth, our Blue Sea City has a half-step Divine Soul Realm expert. Our city lord is an expert at the Divine Soul Realm. Dual Axe City's situation is similar to our Blue Sea City, but there are fewer half-step Divine Soul Realm experts. In addition, their Axe God Martial Soul is only a lowly low-level divine rank. Our Blue Sea City's Martial Soul is the Sea Serpent God Martial Soul, a mid-level divine rank." Chapter 5061. Although I'm not qualified to awaken the Sea Serpent God Martial Soul, we're proud of it. Speaking of this, Lan Qin's face was obviously filled with admiration and pride. His words were from the bottom of his heart. Through Lan Qin's words, Ling Xiao roughly understood the power structure of the Golden Martial Nation. If Lan Qin wasn't lying, a power like Blue Sea City should be ranked around the top 100. Among the thousands of powers in the Golden Martial Nation, they were considered to be in the front. Dual Axe City was slightly weaker, but not by much. Powers that were weaker than them probably lacked Divine Soul Realm powerhouses. Even smaller powers didn't even have a half-step Divine Soul Realm martial artist. Bigger powers definitely had more than one Divine Soul Realm martial artist. The capital of the Golden Martial Nation was probably the most powerful among all the powers. The power and strength of the Imperial Court had absolute dominance. Powers like Blue Sea City and Dual Axe City had to listen to them. With such a clear concept, he was also clear about his position. This was more conducive to seeking luck and avoiding disaster. "Brother, if you join Blue Sea City, you definitely won't regret it." After Lan Qin showed off to Blue Sea City, he talked about the benefits of joining. However, Ling Xiao wasn't interested anymore. Blue Sea City was still too weak. It was impossible to protect the seed martial artists. Everyone knew that the seeds were selected by the 12 holy cities. Everyone knew what it meant. The 108 martial nations would probably fight for it. As expected, his best choice was to join one of the martial nations first. As for the other things, he would slowly figure it out. "Brother Lan, if I want to become a direct martial artist of the Golden Martial Nation, what should I do?" The so-called direct martial artist was equivalent to belonging to the Imperial Court of the Golden Martial Nation. It was completely different from Blue Sea City and Dual Axe City. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, Lan Qin suddenly showed an expression of extreme awe. The core area of the Golden Martial Nation is called the Golden Region. It has the most powerful descendants of the Golden God. They have the Golden God martial soul, which belongs to the high-level God position. It's very scary. It's very difficult to join. However, you're a seed martial artist, so it should be easier. According to the requirements, as long as you're under 30 and can cultivate to the 7th level of the divine body realm or above, you're qualified. The better your talent, the higher the chance of joining. The young master of Dual Axe City, Xue Hongyi, and our young miss are all direct warriors of the Golden Martial Kingdom. From Lan Chen's tone, Ling Xiao heard a wave of loneliness. Lan Chen was already 29 years old, but his cultivation level was only at the 6th level of the divine physique echelon. If he couldn't advance to the 7th level of the divine physique echelon before the age of 30, otherwise, he would be disqualified forever. Ling Xiao felt that Lan Chen was a straightforward guy. Of course, the premise was that this guy wasn't pretending. After all, people who could casually reveal the secrets of their own forces were usually not scheming enough. On the contrary, the more he acted this way, the easier it was for him to win the favor of strangers, because he didn't have to worry about being schemed against. Not daring to say anything else, Lan Chen's yearning for the golden domain was absolutely not an act. He sighed inwardly, although he sympathized with Lan Chen. However, there was nothing Ling Xiao could do to help. He was like a clay bodhisattva crossing a river. He might not even be able to protect himself. He stopped thinking about Lan Chen. Ling Xiao drew a complete picture of the human divine kingdom in his mind. Within the divine kingdom, the 12 holy cities were the top existences. Under the 12 holy cities, there were 108 martial kingdoms. In each martial kingdom, there were also a large number of cities, forces, families, and sections. The competition was fierce. The killing was frequent. It was much more ferocious than the 4 regions and 9 worlds. Of course, in contrast, there were also a large number of resources in the human divine kingdom. These resources were also much more than the 4 regions and 9 worlds. Secret realms, ruins, ancient tombs, blessed grotto heavens, and so on. There were countless things that warriors yearned for in them. After the mystic world was divided into 13 continents, almost every continent had experienced a complete change of era. They had a complete history. The Black Tortoise continent was naturally no exception. Here, there had once been a glorious era of the gods. Although the era of the gods had long passed, the gods' martial soul left behind was also a precious treasure. Ling Xiao had just stepped into the territory of the human divine kingdom. It had been mentioned before. More than half of the divine kingdom was desert. There were countless precious treasures in the desert. Even among the scattered oases, there were many places that the human race had yet to set foot in. Blue Sea City is up ahead. Not long after, Lan Chen pointed into the distance, and the outline of a city appeared. Blue Sea City was slightly larger than Dual Axe City, but it wasn't particularly conspicuous. Right at this moment, Ling Xiao suddenly stopped in his tracks and shot a look at his companions. Everyone instantly entered battle mode. Brother Lan, I trusted you, but you wanted to do something bad to us. It's really disappointing. If it weren't for us, you would have been eaten by that fire wolf. Ling Xiao looked at Lan Chen coldly. What do you mean? What's wrong with me? Lan Chen showed a puzzled expression. This guy doesn't look like he's pretending. Maybe he really doesn't know. Xiao Jin glanced at Ling Xiao and said. Ling Xiao had also observed through the Tai Chi eye. Lan Chen really wasn't pretending. So he simply said, Brother Lan said that he doesn't know. Aren't the warriors of your Blue Sea City ambushing in the dense forest? What? Lan Chen was obviously taken aback. It wasn't because Ling Xiao saw through the ambush. It was because there was actually an ambush in the dense forest. Listen, this is the distinguished guest that the young lady wants to see. Don't be rude. Lan Chen shouted into the dense forest. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. In the dense forest, Dozens of warriors rushed out in an instant. The weakest was at the 3rd level divine physique echelon, and the strongest was at the 6th level divine physique echelon like Lanchin. There were 30 of them in total. Lanchin, there's nothing for you to do here. You can go back and report to the young lady. One of them looked at Lanchin coldly. What's going on here? Lanchin's expression was piercingly cold. If you don't explain clearly, don't blame me for being rude. After all, he was a 6th level divine physique echelon expert. Although there were many of them, they obviously didn't want to offend him. The person who spoke first said indifferently, those guys offended someone they shouldn't have. Whether he's an alchemist or not, Blue Sea City doesn't dare to invite him. Instead, if we kill him, we can get that big shot's favor, and Blue Sea City will be even stronger in the future. Who did we offend? Lanchin frowned. That's enough. This isn't a question you should be asking. That person's voice turned cold. Hearing this person's words, Ling Xiao had already analyzed the situation in his heart. He had never been to Eternal Divine Nation, so he couldn't have offended anyone. Could it be Lotus Flower? A thought ignited in Ling Xiao's heart. Lotus Flower had chosen to be reborn. Although his strength couldn't increase in a short period of time if he was born in the 12 sacred cities and had great power, then it was absolutely possible that he knew about the seed. Mobile version of the website. Chapter 5062. Ling Xiao speculated. Perhaps he had been targeted by the reborn Lotus Flower the moment he arrived. Of course, this was just a speculation. There might be other things he didn't know. But no matter what, he had offended a superior as soon as he arrived in the God Nation. His future days would be tough. Brother Lan, please step aside. Thank you for your kindness. But it won't be that easy for these people to kill us. Ling Xiao glanced at Lanchin and said. Lanchin didn't disappoint him. He was indeed a straightforward person. Today's ambush had nothing to do with him. Brother, I won't say anything else. You saved my life. Who wants to kill you today? You will have to step over my dead body first. Lanchin gritted his teeth and said loudly, You ungrateful thing. Since you betrayed Blue Sea City, you're a traitor. I'll have to kill you too. Attack! The martial artists surrounding Ling Xiao and the others finally lost their patience. Lanchin's actions angered them. The leader, a peak 6th level divine body realm martial artist, instantly pounced on Lanchin. It seemed that killing Lanchin, the traitor, was more important than killing Ling Xiao and the others. It won't be that easy to kill me. Lanchin went forward, but he was sent flying by the other party's palm. In terms of cultivation, Lanchin was on par with the other party. The problem was that Lanchin was severely injured in the battle with Hulang. Even if he recovered a little, he couldn't reach his peak state. Naturally, he wasn't a match for this person. That person sent Lanchin flying with a palm strike. A long spear appeared in his hand. He aimed at Ling Xiao and stabbed it. This long spear was also an emperor weapon with a divine dragon pattern. The divine dragon pattern circled around the spear shaft, releasing a powerful aura. The impact was strong. A dragon's roar was heard when the spear stabbed out. The spear energy turned into a divine dragon, opening its mouth to bite off Ling Xiao's head. Wherever it passed, the grass and trees were shattered. Dust flew everywhere. It was quite impressive to have such an effect on the land of the eternal divine realm. If the same attack was used on the former heavenly dragon continent, the entire continent would probably collapse. It could also cause great destruction in the 4 regions and 9 worlds. You keep saying that you want to kill me, but your strength is only SOSO. Ling Xiao sneered. He flicked the void god's sword in his right hand, stepped lightly on the ground and flew away. Then 9 sword lights bloomed from the sword and shot toward the opponent. At this time, although Ling Xiao did not release Universe of Tyrants, he used Tyrant possession. At the same time, he entered the beast god body state. Coupled with the Void God's sword with 2 divine dragon patterns, his attack power was no weaker than his opponent's. The 9 sword beams tore apart the divine dragon spear and continued to break through the air, leaving a scratch on the opponent's face. Although it was very shallow, there were still blood stains. "You can actually hurt me." The martial artist was obviously taken aback. He was in existence at the peak of the 6th level of the divine physique stage. He had also fought against the seeds from the 4 regions and 9 worlds. Almost no one was a match for him. But today, not only did Ling Xiao break his attack, he even left a scar on his face. This made him very angry. His self-esteem suffered a setback. Do you still have time to be angry? When the martial artist thought that the attack was over, Ling Xiao's cold voice rang in his ears. Compared to the blood-red robe, this martial artist at the peak of the 6th level of the divine physique stage was far weaker. His ability to adapt to changes was simply too weak. Ling Xiao learned from the blood-red robe's battle experience. Once he attacked, he did not give the opponent a chance to counterattack. He had to keep attacking until the opponent could not breathe. Therefore, after the 9-word style of the Void God technique was released, the Bull Demon Fist followed closely. It hit the opponent's face hard. The face was almost deformed. However, it did not shatter. It only bled. The strength of his body was really strong. One had to admit that these martial artists had benefited from the eternal divine realm's power of laws. But the attack did not stop. The moment Ling Xiao's attack ended, the demon's sovereign body stabbed the crimson blood demon sword at the opponent. The battered opponent could only block with his spear. But as soon as he blocked, the demon's sovereign body's god fist came again. This time he could not dodge. He was hit in the abdomen. He spat out a mouthful of blood and flew backward. If this was in the 4 regions and 9 realms, a martial artist at the peak of the 6th level of the divine physique stage would have been blown apart by Ling Xiao's attack. But here, at the same cultivation level, the opponent only spat out a little blood. Ha ha ha! Although the attack speed is fast and tricky, it's a pity. Your attack power is too weak. The opponent was lucky to have withstood Ling Xiao's continuous attacks. He laughed as if he had just survived a disaster and cast a mocking smile at Ling Xiao. However, as soon as he finished speaking, the crimson blood demon's sword turned into a blood demon emperor and stuck to the martial artist. Like a bat, it wrapped the opponent's body, only revealing his head. Then it exploded. This was a terrifying skill of the crimson blood demon sword's sword spirit, the blood demon emperor, blood explosion. This skill was extremely destructive. The problem was that the blood demon emperor would have to sleep for at least a day after using it. However, to Ling Xiao, whose attack power was lacking, this blood explosion was simply too useful. A terrifying explosion occurred, and the martial artist at the peak of the 6th level of the divine physique stage was covered in wounds from the explosion. He had already lost the ability to fight. However, he was actually not dead yet. This body was really tenacious. The battle between the two seemed to take a long time, but it was actually only 2 to 3 seconds. That person was put down on the ground, and Ling Xiao stepped on him. The Void God's sword pierced into the opponent's wound, and he said coldly, "Tell me, who exactly is the superior that made you attack?" That martial artist at the peak of the 6th level of the divine physique stage was still in shock and disbelief. In reality, it was not so easy for Ling Xiao to defeat him. It was just a trick, a sneak attack coupled with blood explosion, not giving the opponent a chance to use it at all. After a while, that person returned to normal. He looked coldly at Ling Xiao and said, "If you dare to kill me, Blue Sea City will definitely hunt you down to the ends of the earth. You've been targeted by that big shot. Do you really think you have a way out? You'll die sooner or later anyway. Why don't you be killed by us? It'll be more satisfying." Still stubborn, Ling Xiao activated the Void God sword and began to absorb energy. That martial artist let out a hysterical scream. Stop! Why aren't you stopping? I don't know. I really don't know who it is. I only know that it's a big shot in the holy city. The pain caused by the void god sword made that martial artist tell the truth. Unfortunately, the mastermind was still a mystery. When Ling Xiao restrained this martial artist, the rest of the people were obviously afraid of taking action and did not dare to make a move. Although they still surrounded Ling Xiao and the others, that was all they could do. It was as if they were waiting for orders. Looks like this guy isn't lying. Ling Xiao frowned and lifted the martial artist up as a hostage. You'd better not act rashly, or I'll kill this person on the spot. As he retreated, he used the void god sword to absorb energy. The divine essence in these martial artists' bodies contained the power of laws of the eternal divine territory. It was crucial for raising the level of his divine essence. Chapter 5063. Kid, it seems like you still don't understand. Hostage? Do you think we won't dare to attack you just because you're holding that trash hostage? A voice came from the crowd. Suddenly, a white light flashed past, and the hostage's head was pierced. He died on the spot. Ling Xiao couldn't help but sigh every time he saw these guys die. Although the bodies of eternal god realm martial artists were extremely strong, they were also difficult to heal. Even if the spirit realm wasn't destroyed, a simple stab to the head or neck was enough to kill them. Bastard! Ling Xiao increased the speed at which the void god sword absorbed energy, instantly sucking the person's divine energy dry. At this point, the martial artists surrounding them had already rushed over. They attacked immediately. Although a peak 6th level divine body realm martial artist died, there were still many of them. Moreover, there were as many as 5 6th level divine body realm martial artists. There were also more than 10 5th level divine body realm martial artists. This battle was definitely not going to be easy. Fortunately, Ling Xiao had companions. Little Gold, Long Chen, Yufenghua, and Cold Plum were all involved in the battle. This time, Ling Xiao didn't stop them. Improving one's skills in battle was also a way to improve one's strength. I'll help too. Although Long Chen was injured, he was a loyal person. In order to repay the favor of saving his life, he was willing to offend Blue Ocean City. Ling Xiao was a little touched. However, he didn't have time to think about other things as he was in the middle of a battle. He immediately activated the Sun God's Blood Formation and the Dragon God's Frost Formation. Let's do it! The Dragon God's Frost Formation couldn't freeze the opponent because of the low quality of Ling Xiao's divine energy. However, it could slow down the opponent's speed by 30%. This was already very heaven-defying. It was a great help to them in the battle. During the battle, Ling Xiao's figure kept flickering. Every time he appeared, he would leave a wound on the opponent's body. Although he couldn't kill them, he made them lose their advantage in numbers. Instead, they had to be on guard against the sudden emergence of a terrifying existence. Ling Xiao's sword could really kill them, especially those martial artists below the 5th level of the divine physique echelon. Once their vital points were pierced, they would die on the spot. Ling Xiao changed his strategy because he couldn't kill his opponent instantly. He used the bloodthirsty plague to weaken his opponent and the dragon god's ice diagram to slow down his opponent's speed. Then he would use his own attacks to continuously damage his opponent. As a result, the opponent's combat strength continued to decline, and his defense became weaker and weaker. At a certain point, he would suddenly launch a sneak attack and send the enemy to the Western Paradise. Yufenghua and the others also unleashed their abilities and cooperated with Ling Xiao in battle. Kill the enemy. In just a minute or two, the original 30 people were reduced to 15. Moreover, all of them were martial artists at the 5th and 6th level of the divine physique echelon. The weak ones had all been destroyed. Ling Xiao's void god sword drank blood, constantly absorbing energy. Finally, at a certain moment, his divine essence level advanced, reaching level 2. The battle suddenly soared. He was even more ferocious than before, especially when he released his true body, the body of the divine venerable, and the body of the demon venerable at the same time to disturb the enemy. This made the enemy suffer unspeakably. Don't be afraid, everyone. Form a battle formation and stall for time. Commander Zhang is about to arrive. Once he arrives, none of these people will be able to escape. Afraid that his companions would have the thought of escaping, one of them shouted loudly. His words were obviously effective. The rest of the people's fighting spirit was obviously high, and their originally low morale also began to rise again. The remaining cultivators all had either monarch weapons with 9 dragon inscriptions or monarch weapons with 1 divine dragon inscription. Ling Xiao coveted these weapons. He believed that after the void god sword devoured them, there should be a chance for it to advance. It was just that he didn't want the void god sword to advance for the time being. Once 3 divine dragon patterns appeared, he really wouldn't be able to use them freely. That would be bad. However, these weapons could be stored and used when his cultivation base advanced in the future. The other party changed from attacking forcefully to stalling for time. Even a fool would be able to see that. Brother, let's end this quickly. If Commander Zhang arrives, none of you will be able to escape. Commander Zhang is someone who has the sea, serpent, god martial soul. Lan Qin shouted loudly. Obviously, he knew how terrifying that Commander Zhang was. How could Ling Xiao not want to end the battle quickly? But with his current strength, he couldn't do it. Fortunately, as time went on, the bloodthirsty plague gradually took effect and weakened his opponents. It became easier for Ling Xiao and the others to kill their opponents. At this point, Ling Xiao decided to deactivate the Dragon God's Frost Formation. His opponents were already weakened, so they couldn't move too quickly. What he needed now was a move that could continuously weaken his opponent's defenses, and that was the Snake God's Poison Domain Formation. Once the formation was released, the ground was filled with poisonous snakes. The air was filled with terrifying poison, although it was limited in its ability to harm the eternal divine realm martial artists. However, it could continuously corrode the wounds on their bodies. These people probably did notice that Ling Xiao had used the Snake God's Poison Domain Formation to its fullest potential. Just now, he had left at least 2 scars on each of them. The poison came into contact with their blood. The effect was outstanding. Yu Fanghua and the others seized this opportunity to pinpoint the spots where the poison was corroding. They launched their final frenzied attacks. In the end, although the remaining 15 people were all experts, however, they died even faster than before. In an instant, all 15 of them turned into corpses. Ling Xiao didn't use the Void God sword. He directly took back the bloodthirsty plague, and the corpses instantly rotted into mud. He thought that the god essence could advance. Unfortunately, it didn't. It was probably more difficult to advance in the future. Although he had long been mentally prepared in this regard, it still made him feel a little uncomfortable when he really encountered it. The enemy's weapons and storage rings were also automatically collected by the Qinquan beast. Ling Xiao didn't have to worry about it. Although these people didn't have as much wealth as the Blood Red Coat, it was still a considerable income. Hurry up and run. Lan Qin reminded him. It's too late. Ling Xiao shook his head. It wasn't that he didn't want to run, but Commander Zhang had already arrived. This person was wearing aqua blue armor. He held sharp claws in his hands. According to Lan Qin, he had the supreme sea serpent god martial soul of Blue Sea City. It was a mid-level deity position martial soul. Although it was far inferior to Ling Xiao's primordial deity position martial soul, it was probably very strong after being tempered by the eternal divine realm. Did you kill all the people of Blue Sea City? When Commander Zhang arrived, the corpses on the ground had already disappeared, but there were still some traces. With such an expert, he could naturally see it. That's right. Ling Xiao looked at the other party, his expression unchanged. Although Commander Zhang was powerful, Ling Xiao felt that he wasn't as strong as the blood-red coat, although he was definitely no match for him alone. But now he wasn't alone. He had powerful companions. It's good that you admit it. Then, are you ready to die? Commander Zhang said coldly. His cold eyes revealed a ruthless killing intent. Chapter 5064. It looked like things wouldn't end peacefully today. Ling Xiao and the others had killed so many of Blucia's cultivators. How could they let the matter rest so easily? Die. Ling Xiao laughed. You're as unreasonable as these trash. I came to the eternal divine realm with no grudge against Blue Sea. Instead, I wanted to join Blue Sea because of Lanchin. It's a pity that you people want to kill me for no reason. I killed them all. Now, do you want to follow in their footsteps? Ling Xiao didn't like trouble, but he wasn't afraid of it either. Haha, you're quite confident. Captain Zhang sneered. It's a pity that you've already killed so many people from my Blue Sea city. We're like fire and water. There's no way we can reconcile. I don't intend to reconcile either. I just want to know who made you offend an alchemist and kill him. Ling Xiao was very interested in the mastermind behind the scenes. At the very least, it would be easier to guard against him in the future. You're about to die. Why do you want to know? Captain Zhang said indifferently. I can't be a fool. Ling Xiao laughed. You're not afraid of death. Unfortunately, I want to tell you who it is. But only our city lord knows the secret. That lord is very cautious. After all, he's targeting seeds from the 4 realms and 9 worlds. It's easy to cause dissatisfaction among the 12 sacred cities. Captain Zhang shrugged and released his martial soul, the sea serpent god. A terrifying aura filled the sky. Martial soul barrier. Ling Xiao released his martial soul barrier at almost the same time. He was mainly worried that Blue Sea would send reinforcements. Captain Zhang alone was enough of a headache. If reinforcements came, it would be even more troublesome. The sea serpent was a marine animal. It didn't look much different from the snakes on land, but it was larger in size. If it was just a sea serpent martial soul, it would only be an ordinary beast martial soul. It was no different from most martial souls in the 4 realms and 9 worlds. But the sea serpent god with the word god added was completely different. The sea snake that had once become a god on the black tortoise continent. After transforming into a martial soul, it would possess the will and power of a god. It could awaken the body of a god. It was the same as Ling Xiao's beast god body. However, the divine bodies of the eternal divine realm were far stronger than those of the 9 realms. Commander Zhang didn't look like the kind of person who would underestimate his enemy. He unleashed his sea serpent god martial spirit right from the start. Then, he entered the state of the sea serpent god. Just like Ling Xiao's beast god body, the sea serpent god body also had 2 forms. One was in the form of a divine snake, while the other was in the form of a serpent god, a human with the appearance of a giant snake and the characteristics of a sea snake. Commander Zhang had probably chosen the serpent god form to make it easier to use his martial skills. Strange blue scales grew all over his body. Its eyes were also like those of a snake, a tail trailing behind. Sharp, venomous fangs grew out of its mouth. His height had also grown to about 3 meters. The martial practitioners of the 4 regions and 9 worlds should have never seen a divine body before, right? Your luck is not bad. You can die in peace under my divine body. Commander Zhang sneered. Commander Zhang was obviously inferior to Xue Hongyi in his normal state. However, after entering the divine body, the pressure he gave Ling Xiao had obviously reached the level of Xue Hongyi. In fact, it was even stronger. The pressure brought by the will and power of a god made Ling Xiao very uncomfortable. His divine essence level wasn't high enough to begin with. Now the gap was even wider. You seem to be talking too much nonsense. Make your move. Ling Xiao instantly activated the beast god body. He also entered the beast god body. He chose the ox god body. The Yushin body was inferior to the ox god body in terms of strength and attack power. The advantage was that it could use flames. Moreover, it could control the law of time more freely. However, Ling Xiao's divine essence level was too low. He couldn't use the power of time to control the law of time at all. Therefore, this was the only way for the time being. I didn't expect you to have a god martial spirit. It's a pity that your god will is too weak. You should be a low-level fake god. You can't even be considered a low-level god. Commander Zhang glanced at Ling Xiao contemptuously. Idiot, I'll go test the opponent first. You guys observe his flaws. After that, we'll work together to kill this guy. We can't let him go back alive. Last time, the blood-red coat escaped. This time, we definitely can't let this guy escape again. Ling Xiao scolded Commander Zhang and then sent a soul voice transmission to his other companions. After that, he charged out. He was still brooding over the fact that he couldn't kill the blood-red coat last time. This time, Commander Zhang could only reach the blood-red coat's ordinary state after entering the god body. Even if he treated it as practice, he had to destroy this guy. Arrogant brat, you really don't understand what the power of a god is. Commander Zhang sneered. A violent water flow actually appeared in the void, like a wave in the deep sea. It smashed fiercely toward Ling Xiao. This impact was enough to destroy a city in the 4 regions and 9 worlds. And here, it was enough to kill Ling Xiao. Dragon God Frost Array Diagram. Ling Xiao firmly believed that the other party's attack was enough to kill him. Therefore, even if he wanted to block it, he had to first reduce its power. The reason why this terrifying wave was so powerful was because it was fast enough. When the Dragon God Frost Array Diagram was released, its speed was reduced. Naturally, its power was reduced. Commander Zhang suddenly felt a trace of uneasiness. It wasn't because Ling Xiao blocked his attack. After all, that attack was just a casual attack. The reason why he was uneasy was that he felt the aura of a superior from Ling Xiao. His sea, serpent god, martial soul was actually trembling. What kind of god martial soul do you have? Commander Zhang roared. If I said that I have the 12 beast god martial soul of the primeval god position, would you believe me? Ling Xiao's lips curled into a cold smile. Attack! Kill him while he's sick. At this moment, Commander Zhang was seriously shocked by Ling Xiao's words and exposed his flaws. Yu Fanghua and the others attacked at the same time. One after another, they unleashed their strongest attacks. Ling Xiao released his divine venerable body and demon venerable body to participate in the attack. He had to end the battle quickly. This place was not far from Blue Sea City, and the enemy could appear at any time. If he didn't kill Commander Zhang quickly, it would be troublesome. Once again, he was glad that he wasn't alone. If he was alone, he would have to run away in the face of such an enemy. Everyone's attacks hit accurately. Commander Zhang screamed again and again. Although he was very strong, he wasn't strong enough to deal with Ling Xiao and his 4 companions at the same time. Put in more effort, kill him. Ling Xiao roared, holding the reverse god sword in his hand and releasing the shadow of the yin-yang universal tiger behind him. The wrath of the Black Soul was used. The wrath of the Black Soul's attack power might not be comparable to the reverse god art's 9-word style. However, it could completely ignore the opponent's defense. If Ling Xiao wanted to kill his opponent completely, the wrath of the Black Soul was the best choice. Chapter 5065. A terrifying tiger sword shadow darted out from the Void God sword. It instantly pierced through Commander Zhang's head. A terrifying destructive force pierced through Commander Zhang's entire body. It completely destroyed Commander Zhang's last bit of life force. Ling Xiao used the Void God sword to absorb the energy in the other party's body. His divine essence finally leveled up again, reaching level 3. Let's go! After killing Commander Zhang, He removed the martial soul barrier. Ling Xiao let Xiao Jin and the others enter the universe world and prepare to escape. A single person was obviously a smaller target and more suitable for escaping. Xiao Jin and the others would not object. The universe world was better than the Dong Sheng Emperor Ring in that it would only start to calculate weight when it contained more than 10 living beings. Therefore, Xiao Jin and the others entering the universe world would not affect Ling Xiao's speed. "Brother, let's go to the Black Desert," Lan Chun suggested. The Black Desert is a small desert above this oasis. It's shrouded in black storms all year round. It's a very troublesome place for warriors. But the good thing is that it's very difficult for enemies to find it. With your strength, you can definitely survive. But the prerequisite is that you don't encounter that thing. Ling Xiao talked to Lan Chen as he hurried. Therefore, he was not worried about being caught. "What does that thing refer to?" Ling Xiao asked curiously. "The King of Black Sand," Lan Chen replied. "It said that the King of Black Sand is a cactus that has become a spirit. It occupies the Black Desert. It's extremely powerful, but no one knows exactly how powerful it is. A half-step divine soul realm expert once entered to search for it, but he didn't see it. It seems that the King of Black Sand strength should be below the half-step divine soul realm. When an expert enters, it hides. Cold Plum, this is your opportunity. Go to the Black Desert. Lan Chen, lead the way." Ling Xiao had already made up his mind. He was now facing the pursuit of Dual Axe City and Blue Sea City. If he stayed outside, it would easily attract trouble. As for the Black Desert, even if the other party chased him in, he had a way to make them unable to return. Following Lan Chen's guidance, Ling Xiao headed all the way to the Black Desert. When he arrived nearby, he could see an area surrounded by black wind. Black wind's destructive power was not very strong. With their strength, they were completely capable of resisting it. It was just that his field of vision was reduced to the lowest. Fortunately, Ling Xiao possessed the Tai Chi Eye. Otherwise, he would not have dared to set foot in the Black Desert. Standing in front of the Black Desert, Ling Xiao looked back. Although he couldn't see anyone, his intuition told him that trouble was coming. A wave of hostility suddenly rose in his heart. His original plan had been to keep a low profile and improve his strength upon arriving at the eternal divine realm. He didn't expect to be hunted down as soon as he arrived. Moreover, it was secretly planned by the big shots of the 12 holy cities. Since that was the case, why should he show mercy? So what if it was the eternal divine realm? However, this was only where the power of law was more powerful. If they couldn't even survive in a place like this, how could they deal with the aboriginals in the future? He turned around and stepped into the Black Desert. The black wind at the edge seemed to be fainter. Ling Xiao could see hundreds of meters away. Combined with the Tai Chi Eye, he could see things up to 1,000 meters away. However, the deeper they went, the stronger the black wind became. His field of vision was also decreasing rapidly. Many small beasts could be seen in the desert. Most of these beasts were scorpions, centipedes, and the like. Their combat strength wasn't very strong. After encountering Ling Xiao, they didn't attack. Instead, they chose to escape. The Black Desert is simply a natural maze. If you don't understand the mysteries of formations, I'm afraid you'll never be able to leave after entering. Ling Xiao was proficient in formations, so he had already discovered it after entering. Nature was really powerful. It could set up such a terrifying maze at will. Brother, is there a way out? If not, let's go back the way we came before we go too deep. Lan Chen had never been to the Black Desert before. He had only heard about it from others. Therefore, after entering and discovering the situation, he couldn't help but worry. Don't worry. You can rest in the universe world and heal your injuries. Leave the matter of leaving to me. Ling Xiao smiled. Lan Chen wasn't strong, but he was loyal. Ling Xiao had a good impression of him. All right then. Lan Chen was relieved when he heard Ling Xiao's words. At this moment, he was actually feeling very uncomfortable in his heart. He chose to help his savior, but he had to betray Blue Sea City. For a person like him, who valued friendship and loyalty, it was really depressing. It was extremely contradictory. Ling Xiao naturally didn't know what Lan Chen was thinking. At this moment, he placed all his attention on this desert. The black desert was filled with danger. In the black wind, there were unknown dangers hidden. Perhaps at some moment, an attack would come, making it impossible to guard against it. He heard from Lan Chen that there were ancient ruins in the black desert. Therefore, many martial artists had entered to explore. But recently, there were many and very few returned. Nearly half of the martial artists had thrown their lives here. However, the exploration had never stopped. A person's courage could be unlimited. Their courage could also be unlimited. Sometimes, in order to achieve a goal, they would even risk their lives. Compared to this black desert, Ling Xiao was actually more worried about the outside world. Although the dangers in the black desert were terrifying, Ling Xiao could guard against them. It was different outside. The big shots of the holy city secretly issued a kill order. He learned from Commander Zhang's memory that the 5 of them all had bounties. Cold Plum, Long Chin, and Little Gold's bounties were all 1,000,000 supreme-grade spirit stones. This was a fatal attraction to Divine Body Realm martial artists and even Divine Soul Realm martial artists. Moreover, building a good relationship with this big shot, even if there was no bounty, would be very helpful in the future. Yu Fenghua's bounty was 2,000,000 supreme-grade spirit stones, and Ling Xiao's bounty was 10,000,000 supreme-grade spirit stones. This was equivalent to the value of a low-grade spirit crystal. Anyone would go crazy for this. Although the bounty was issued in the black market, it was easier for news to spread there. It wouldn't be obstructed by the holy city. In other words, the moment Ling Xiao arrived in the eternal divine realm, he had become a head worth tens of millions of supreme-grade spirit stones. Whether it's lotus flower or not, just wait and see. I will completely destroy all threats. Ling Xiao's personality was like this. The crazier his enemies were, the crazier he was. He was a monster, even more savage than a monster. Moreover, in the eternal divine realm, he had less to worry about. Since he was already famous, he might as well go crazy. Crack! Another bone was crushed by Ling Xiao. The number of warriors and demonic beasts that died in the black desert was not small. Who knew how many bones were wrapped in the black sand? Inadvertently, one would step on them. Since we're already here, the enemy shouldn't be chasing us, right? Xiao Jin said in boredom. Staying in the universe world was comfortable, but it was too boring. Instead, he preferred a vigorous battle. This fellow's character could be considered to be birds of a feather with Ling Xiao. Chapter 5066. Don't forget, your heads are also worth 1,000,000 supreme-grade spirit stones. R. A&W? E. and W? Un. My head is worth tens of millions of supreme-grade spirit stones. Most warriors won't be able to earn so many supreme-grade spirit stones in their entire lives. Small forces like Blue Sea City and Dual Axe City would scramble for these spirit stones like a flock of ducks. Don't underestimate human greed. Ling Xiao believed that the enemy would definitely chase after him. The black wind blew, and from time to time, horrifying howls could be heard. Ling Xiao had already made up his mind. As long as he passed through the black desert, he could change his appearance and shake off his pursuers. At the very least, he could shake off this mastermind. The next step was to cultivate. With his current strength, he obviously couldn't compete with this mastermind. Even if the mastermind was the lotus flower after his reincarnation and wasn't very strong, there must be experts by his side. So no matter what, he had to grow up first. When Ling Xiao passed through the black desert, the pursuers had already reached the edge of the black desert. The first to arrive were the pursuers from Blue Sea City. There were hundreds of them, all dressed in blue battle robes. The robes were embroidered with the image of the sea serpent god. At a glance, one could tell where these warriors came from. Like Dual Axe City, the warriors from Blue Sea City exuded a strong, murderous aura. Ling Xiao had already seen this before. Perhaps it was because they were at the border. The leader rode a snake-tailed bird. The snake-tailed bird couldn't fly. It looked like an ostrich, but it had a snake-like tail. It could detect danger from the ground. This person was also one of the commanders of Blue Sea City. However, he was obviously stronger than Commander Zhang. If Ling Xiao was here, he would have noticed. In his normal state, this person's strength was on par with the blood-red shirt. He was in his 40s and had a calm, old face. His eyes were filled with a sharp killing intent. The scale of Blue Sea City was quite large. Just counting the commanders, there were 72 of them. There were differences in strength between the commanders. Previously, Commander Zhang had been the weakest. Blue Sea City didn't take Ling Xiao and the others seriously. After all, they were just seeds who had just arrived in the eternal divine realm. It was normal for him to be weak. But who would have thought that Commander Zhang would also be killed, so this Commander Lu was sent out. There were close to 100 divine body realm martial artists with him. Among them, 50 of them were above the 5th level of the divine physique echelon. It could be said to be a very powerful team. Lord Commander, those people have entered the Black Desert. That is an ominous place. Without a cultivation at the 9th level of the divine physique echelon or above, the chances of dying after entering were extremely high. The Black Wind King was not to be trifled with. Why don't we just let them fend for themselves? A person beside Commander Lu said in a low voice. After a moment of silence, Commander Lu shook his head and said, "Do you know the relationship between Commander Zhang and me? We joined Blue Ocean City together and worked together for more than 20 years. He was born hundreds of times like this. He saved my life and I saved his. Now that he's dead, you're telling me to give up on pursuing the murder? When did Blue Sea City's martial artists become such cowards?" But the Black Wind King killed a martial artist at the peak of the 7th level of the divine physique echelon 10 years ago. Now, we don't know what level of strength that monster has reached. Moreover, the Black Wind King is definitely not the only danger in the Black Desert. The martial artist beside him seemed to be an advisor. His strength was not ordinary either. He was at the early stage of the 7th level of the divine physique echelon. If you're afraid, go back. The rest of you, follow me in. Don't forget, those people are worth tens of millions of supreme-grade spirit stones. Even if we work hard for our entire lives, we might not be able to earn that much. Commander Lu's voice became louder and louder. It was very encouraging. We're willing to follow Commander Lu and hunt down our enemies. Most of them were captivated by the huge reward and did not realize how dangerous the Black Desert was. The advisor sighed. Forget it. Since Lord Commander insists on going his own way, I'll go with you. Thus, over 100 Blue Sea City's martial artists stepped into the Black Desert. Apart from the advisor, most of them were still very confident. Commander Lu also possessed the sea serpent god martial soul. Moreover, it was the sea serpent god that could control ice and water. It was much more powerful than Commander Zhang. In addition to them, they did not believe that those few seeds could escape. Luck might fall on those fellows, but it was impossible for such luck to appear again and again. Ling Xiao had no idea how big the Black Desert was, nor did he know where he was. He could only rely on his familiarity with formations to cross the Black Desert. Ling Xiao did not need to do anything for the battles along the way. Little Gold and Long Chin took care of it. Their meaning was clear. Ling Xiao needed to deal with sudden changes. He needed to control the overall situation. It was not only because Ling Xiao was the strongest among them. More importantly, Ling Xiao had the ability to control the overall situation. He could always make the best judgment. Fortunately, Ling Xiao had obtained a few emperor weapons with divine dragon patterns from Shuehongyi. This could help Little Gold and Long Qin increase their combat strength. Coupled with his martial soul array, there was not much trouble along the way. After devouring some beast cores, Little Gold's divine essence level rose to the 3rd level. Long Chen's divine essence level also rose to the 2nd level because of the release of the giant dragon's potential. After a period of battle, everyone realized that the beasts in the eternal divine realm were not as fierce as the beasts in the 4 regions and 9 realms. However, they were much stronger. The scorpions, which looked very ordinary, could instantly erupt with terrifying combat strength equivalent to a martial artist in the 7th level of the divine body realm. This caused a lot of trouble for everyone. It slowed down their footsteps. When they dealt with these scorpions, Ling Xiao suddenly looked behind him. He still could not see anything. However, Ling Xiao heard the sound of battle, and it was quite a big commotion. It's probably the pursuers from Blue Sea City. These guys are really persistent. Ling Xiao frowned and let Little Gold and Long Qin go back to rest. He let out Yifanghua and Cold Plum. This kind of rotation was more conducive to preserving their stamina and combat strength. Hurry up. I can feel that there's a very difficult guy coming this time. He's not inferior to Shuehongyi. Shuehongyi, who had not entered the divine body, was already a headache for them. Once he entered the divine body, how strong would he be? Perhaps they might not be a match for him, even if they worked together. He obviously sped up because he had the Tai Chi eye, which allowed him to see through formations and had powerful soul power. He could run as fast as he could in the Black Desert. As long as they did not encounter battle, their speed was very fast. After nearly 3 hours of trekking, they had already reached the core area of the Black Desert. Another half of the journey, and they would be out of this dark place. At this time, Ling Xiao's vision had been reduced to about 100 meters. Coupled with the Tai Chi eye, he could see at most 500 meters. He believed that the other's vision could not compare to his. Chapter 5067. If combined with his soul force, Ling Xiao would be able to sense the movements within a 1-kilometer radius. This was their guarantee of getting out. So many cacti! Yifanghua exclaimed. In front of them, there were all kinds of cacti and cacti. This was really troublesome for people with trypophobia. However, this was not the only trouble. Master, these cacti and cacti are not simple plants. They are like the ancient war tree, combat plants with consciousness. Cold Plum had already released her ancient war tree martial soul. No one was more sensitive than her when it came to sensing plants. As soon as Cold Plum finished speaking, the cacti and cacti actually moved. They let out strange laughter and roars. The terrifying atmosphere made people feel more and more uncomfortable. It was said that the king of the Black Desert was a cacti that had cultivated into a spirit. It was called the King of Black Sand or the King of Black Wind. No one alive had ever seen the face of this creature, because everyone who had seen it was already dead. No one knew how it would attack or how strong it really was. In an instant, the cacti pounced on Ling Xiao along with the flow of the desert. The cacti's green thorns flew all over the sky. These thorns were not simple. Each of them was extremely powerful. Even if it was Ling Xiao, he would still be injured if he was hit. If he was shot into a hedgehog, he would be dead. Invincible ape god formation. Fanghua, Cold Plum, find a direction and break out. Ling Xiao released the invincible ape god formation. For the time being, he managed to block the frenzied attacks. However, he knew that he could not be surrounded. He had to fight his way out. Otherwise, he would be dead today. I'll lead the way. Cold Plum took the lead and rushed out. The ancient war tree clearly had a restraining effect on those cacti. During the battle, countless vines pierced into the cacti and could even absorb the power of law. This was extremely beneficial to Cold Plum's growth. Yu Fanghua was responsible for bringing up the rear. Ling Xiao assisted and commanded in the middle. It was his responsibility to protect Yu Fanghua and Cold Plum. At this moment, he did not need to think about fighting for the time being. There were a lot of cacti, but their speed was their weakness. Ling Xiao took advantage of this and used formations and diagrams to open up a path for Cold Plum to escape. The invincible ape deity array provided a powerful defense. After all, these cacti were not experts like the Blood Red Coat or Commander Zhang. It would not be easy for them to break through the invincible ape deity formation. The Dragon God's ice array diagram made these cacti even more fragile. It was easier for Cold Plum and Yu Fanghua to break through. Green blood splattered on the black desert. This was a strange massacre. Cold Plum didn't care about the cacti around her and only focused on charging forward. A large number of cacti were destroyed. Cold Plum's divine essence level also increased to level 2. Her combat strength soared, and so did her killing speed. The three of them cooperated very well. These cacti couldn't gain the slightest advantage. They were destroyed and repelled one by one. An escape path gradually formed. Finally, after 10 minutes of crazy killing, it was as if something had torn a crack in the desert. The three of them rushed out of the encirclement. Tens of thousands of cacti were destroyed. Cold Plum's divine essence level increased again and reached level 3. Yu Fanghua also refined her divine essence because of the awakening of the Moon Lady's power during the battle. Her level increased to level 2. You guys go in and rest first. Leave the rest to me. After letting Yu Fanghua and Cold Plum enter the universe world, Ling Xiao instantly sped up and turned into a sword light. He destroyed the last cacti, blocking his way, and fled into the distance. The reason why he was so anxious was because the battle had caused too much of a commotion. They had probably attracted the attention of the pursuers from Blue Sea City. They would definitely chase in this direction. They had just experienced a fierce battle. Although Cold Plum and Yu Fanghua weren't injured, they had used up a lot of energy. It would take some time for them to recover. Long Qin didn't want to fight with the enemy without his full combat strength. That wasn't worth it. It was also very unsafe. When they were close to 1,000 meters away, they could still hear the countless cacti and cacti's miserable cries. It was as if they were complaining and venting. Hearing it made one's hair stand on end. It was probably because Ling Xiao was too fast that they couldn't catch up or find him. That was why they were so angry. At the same time, another team entered the Black Desert from a different direction. This team came from Dual Axe City. There were about 120 of them. The leader was Xue Hongyi, who Ling Xiao had fought before. Dual Axe City found out about the bounty later. At that time, Ling Xiao had already left Dual Axe City and almost killed Xue Hongyi. When he saw the bounty, Xue Hongyi's eyes flashed with a vicious and cruel light. He immediately led the 120 Dual Axe gang martial artists toward the Black Desert. He knew that Ling Xiao had entered the Black Desert. It was all thanks to the martial artists from Blue Sea City. Dual Axe City and Blue Sea City had a cooperative relationship, but they were also competitors. It was common for them to send spies to each other. It was the spies who got the news and told Xue Hongyi. Dual Axe City and Blue Sea City were originally equal in strength. Even if they were slightly weaker, it wasn't by much. If Blue Sea City obtained the bounty, their strength would probably skyrocket. At that time, Dual Axe City would definitely be at a disadvantage. Therefore, Dual Axe City's city lord agreed to Xue Hongyi sending troops. He even sent an 8th level divine body realm martial artist to protect Xue Hongyi. Xue Hongyi was riding a horned tiger at the front of the team. His eyes were filled with ferocious killing intent. To him, Ling Xiao's value wasn't just tens of millions of supreme-grade spirit stones. It was also his dignity. Following closely behind him was an old man who didn't make a sound. This person had the most terrifying strength in the team. He was in the early stage of the 8th level divine body realm. As expected, Dual Axe City's city lord still cared about his son and didn't want his son to die because of an accident. All of you, listen up. If anyone discovers the seeds from the 4 domains and 9 realms, they will be killed immediately. I'll reward them with an emperor weapon with 2 divine dragon patterns. At the same time, I'll reward them with 10,000 supreme grade spirit stones. I'll give half of the bounty to anyone who can capture those guys alive. Whether or not your fates can be changed this time will depend on your courage. Are you confident? Xue Hongyi was good at stirring up the martial artist's emotions. The huge benefits made these people forget about the danger instantly. Kill! 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 The group of people roared aggressively. Very good, let's speed up. Xue Hongyi was the first to charge into the Black Desert. The rest of the people roared like beasts and followed in. They were simply a bunch of red-eyed monsters. Chapter 5068. How troublesome. Do these idiots want a piece of the pie too? Less than 1,000 meters away from the Dual Axe Gang, another team appeared. This was a group of well-trained assassins. All of them were masked and dressed in black. If they really entered the Black Desert, they wouldn't be able to detect them. The one who spoke was a sinister middle-aged man. He played with the dagger in his hand as if waiting for someone. Boss Silvertooth, I'm afraid Big Sis Illusion Butterfly won't be here on time. Why don't we make a move first? Otherwise, Dual Axe City and Blue Ocean City will take the lead. It won't be easy for the Dark God Hall to do it. A masked man looked at the leader of the assassins and asked, That's true. That bitch Illusion Butterfly is used to being alone. I don't think she'll work with us. Let's not wait anymore. Get ready to move out. The people from Dual Axe City and Blue Ocean City dare to snatch people from our Dark God Palace? Just wait for death. The Dark God Hall seemed to have a branch in the Golden Martial Nation. When Ling Xiao went to the graveyard of the gods to kill Lotus Flower, he encountered the top assassins of the Dark God Hall in the 4 domains and 9 worlds. However, he killed them all. Now that he had just arrived in the Eternal Divine Realm, he was targeted by the assassins of the Dark God Hall. It was clear that this ill-fated relationship ran deep. Almost at the same time, the 4th team entered the Black Desert from another entrance. This team was made up of the motley crew from the Land of Exile. However, they were the absolute elites. There were 12 of them, and all of them were 7th level divine physique echelon martial artists. These people wanted to change their fate. When they received the bounty, they were overjoyed. They thought this was a chance for them to get close to the higher-ups and change their fate. Although their performance in the Battle of Heaven's Wall City was mediocre, that was because Heaven's Wall City still belonged to the 4 domains and 9 worlds. With their cultivation, their strength would be greatly reduced when they arrived there. However, it was different when they returned to the Eternal Divine Realm. Once their identities were known, they would be wanted by the Golden Martial Nation. However, for their own future, they decided to give it their all. Just like that, Blue Ocean City, Dual Axe City, Dark God Hall, and the Land of Exile. The 4 forces entered from different places and headed for the same goal. They all wanted the bounty on Ling Xiao and his companions. At this moment, Ling Xiao realized that someone would chase after him. However, he did not expect that there would be so many people. There were even 8th level divine physique echelon experts that they couldn't defeat even if they joined forces. Martial artists in the early 8th level of the divine body realm were nothing in the eternal divine domain. However, to Ling Xiao, this was an insurmountable mountain. Suddenly, Ling Xiao stopped running. Ever since the chaos of the cactus, they hadn't encountered any danger along the way. This made Ling Xiao a little confused. However, at this moment, he understood the reason. A large number of martial artists had actually gathered in the Black Desert where the black wind billowed, and they were all experts. Brother, why did you stop? Lan Qin asked curiously. Because right now, Ling Xiao should be running for his life. There are many experts gathered not far ahead. I don't know what happened. Ling Xiao replied, Don't worry about that. The pursuers are right behind us. Escape is more important. Lan Qin said. Ling Xiao had originally planned to do so. However, when he sensed the aura coming from that direction, he refused to leave. There was a strange relic in the black desert in front of them. The relic was a series of huge buildings. It was obvious that there had been people who had lived here before, and they were from a race that was skilled in construction. However, the relic was now giving off the aura of a giant dragon. Ling Xiao originally thought that the only giant dragon left in this world was Long Chen's bloodline. He didn't expect to sense the aura of a giant dragon in the black desert in the eternal divine domain. However, he wasn't sure if they were dead or alive. After all, a giant dragon was extremely powerful. Even its skeleton would release a terrifying aura. How strong are those people? Lan Qin asked. At least 8th level divine body realm. Ling Xiao's forehead was covered in cold sweat. It was extremely dangerous to compete with these experts for treasures. However, Ling Xiao didn't like to just run away. He avoided the pursuit of his enemies to become stronger. If he encountered a relic and was defeated, he might miss the opportunity to become stronger. That was definitely not what he wanted. Handsome, even with my strength, I don't dare to compete with those people for treasures. You've got guts. Suddenly, a voice came from behind Ling Xiao. This voice gave Ling Xiao a fright. He was focused on the relic and let his guard down. Even so, he didn't notice that someone had come within 100 meters of him. This was too dangerous. It made his scalp tingle. Ling Xiao hurriedly dodged and distanced himself from the person. When he looked up, he saw that it was a woman with a veil over her face. Although she was a beauty, there was a chilling, murderous intent in her cold eyes. Assassin! This was Ling Xiao's first thought. He believed that his first instinct was the most accurate. Don't be afraid. The dagger in my hand is very sharp. With a light stroke, you'll fall asleep forever. You won't feel any pain. The woman said indifferently. Her words were neither cold nor warm, but they made one's hair stand on end. You're an assassin from the Dark God Palace? I didn't expect the Dark God Palace to be involved too. Ling Xiao suddenly smiled and sped up, rushing in the direction of the ruins. This woman was very scary. She wasn't someone they could deal with by joining hands. Therefore, he wanted to borrow the martial artists at the relic to protect himself. Now that everyone was staring at the relic, no one dared to casually make a move. If they casually made a move, they would be mistaken as wanting to monopolize the relic's treasures and might be surrounded. What a cunning, handsome man. But you can't stay there forever. Moreover, once the relic opens, those people will fight for the treasures. At that time, no one will care about a 5th level divine body realm trash. Remember my name, Illusion Butterfly. You'll die in my hands very soon. Illusion Butterfly also chased to the side of the relic, but she was one person away from Ling Xiao. She indeed didn't dare to make a move now, but if she wanted to, there wouldn't be a lack of opportunities. Illusion Butterfly, why did you become an assassin with such a nice name? What a pity. Oh, right. Do you know what's inside the relic? Why did so many experts covet it? Ling Xiao looked at Illusion Butterfly and asked with a smile. Your personality is really likable. You're about to die, yet you still dare to ask questions. Forget it. I don't have any enmity with you. I'm just an assassin. I'll take care of people's money. There's no harm in answering a few of your questions. Illusion Butterfly said indifferently. It said that a few days ago, someone heard the roar of a giant dragon. You also know that giant dragons are almost extinct creatures, and this kind of creature loves to collect treasures. Chapter 5069. Illusionary Butterfly said calmly, The appearance of the dragon naturally attracted many people's attention. Although your bounty is very high, but compared to the dragon's treasure, it pales in comparison. The Golden Martial Kingdom was built on the foundation of the dragon's treasure. The dragon's roar, the treasure's appearance, it was really tempting. Actually, when Ling Xiao felt the dragon's aura earlier, the first person he thought of was Long Qin. If Long Qin could absorb the true dragon's power, then the noble and powerful bloodline hidden in his body would definitely awaken again. It would be of great help to Long Qin's strength. Of course, the appearance of the dragon's treasure made him even more interested, because Long Qin was not the only one who would benefit. He and a few of his companions might also benefit greatly. Sigh, Sister Illusionary Butterfly, you're joking. It's just a rumor from a few people. Maybe I heard wrongly. Ling Xiao waved his hand. If you know who heard the dragon's roar, you wouldn't say that. Also, there were more than 1 or 2 people who heard the dragon's roar. Some of the experts who gathered at the ruins also heard it. They even felt the dragon's aura. Illusionary Butterfly shook her head and said, "If not for my lack of strength, I'm afraid I would also want to share. After all, it's the dragon's treasure. It's better to believe it than not." Roar! Just as Ling Xiao was about to speak, a terrifying roar suddenly rang out in his head. This terrifying roar shook his blood and almost caused him to go berserk. It was extremely terrifying. "Big brother, it's the dragon's roar!" Long Qin suddenly said. It seemed that Long Qin heard it too. "What dragon's roar? Why didn't I hear it?" Little Gold frowned. "I didn't hear it either." Cold Plum shook her head. "I heard it." Yu Fenghua nodded. "I heard it too." Ling Xiao also nodded. It seemed that not everyone could hear the dragon's roar. However, Ling Xiao did not dare to guess the reason. The only guess was that only people related to the dragon could hear it. Long Qin was the golden dragon. Ling Xiao possessed the bloodline of the divine dragon. The Moon Ladies had fought alongside the dragon race during the primordial age. Ling Xiao looked at the surrounding experts. There were actually many people who had heard the dragon's roar. He couldn't help but frown. It was impossible for all of these people to possess the bloodline of dragons. There was only one possibility. They might have treasures with the aura of dragons. Ling Xiao's guess was absolutely correct. Someone had discovered this secret earlier than him. Therefore, he bought all kinds of treasures or natural treasures with the aura of dragons. This way, they would be able to hear the dragon's roar. Accurately determining the location of the opening of the ruins might even lead them to the treasure. When the dragon roared 10 times, someone suddenly said in a clear voice, "The ruins are about to open. We still need everyone to work together to break this barrier." "Who is that person?" Ling Xiao asked Illusory Butterfly. "I seem to have become your know-it-all?" The Illusionary Butterfly faintly smiled. This assassin actually knows how to smile, which made Ling Xiao somewhat surprised. "Yang Qi," Illusory Butterfly said indifferently, "a genius legend. From the Golden Region's Yang clan. At such a young age, he has already cultivated to the divine soul realm. Very terrifying." Ling Xiao secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. This Yang Qi looked to be in his early 20s, but he was already a divine soul realm expert. Although he couldn't see what level he was at, he was definitely not a match for Yang Qi. However, he was definitely no match for him. Even if his companions joined forces, they would still be killed in an instant. However, strength wasn't enough to obtain treasures. Otherwise, the treasures would have been obtained by those who were stronger every time. How could those geniuses who hadn't matured have a chance? In fact, those geniuses who weren't too strong but had great potential were the easiest to obtain fortuitous encounters. Perhaps this was the will of the heavens that couldn't be explained. "I agree with Brother Yang's opinion. Let's work together." Another person spoke. This person's strength wasn't considered strong, but his outfit was exceptionally gorgeous. Everyone seemed to give him some face. "Who is that person?" Ling Xiao asked Illusory Butterfly. "Huang Taifeng, a descendant of the Golden Martial Country's royal family. Although he's just a fallen royal family, as long as the Huang Taifeng family rules the Golden Martial Country. No one would dare to bully his family. This Huang Taifeng is also a genius. He's only 20 years old, but he's already at the 9th level of the divine physique realm. You can't afford to offend him either. You can't afford to offend him either," Illusory Butterfly said indifferently. "Yang Qi, Huang Taifeng, I'll remember this." Ling Xiao glanced at the two of them and quickly retracted his gaze. "They're just a little more dazzling. If the handsome young man wanted to court death, he would be looking for the woman standing near the ruins." "You'll die faster," Illusory Butterfly smiled. However, Ling Xiao could see the look in Illusory Butterfly's eyes when she mentioned this woman. It was an extremely intense fear. Ling Xiao glanced at the woman. She seemed ordinary. However, the more ordinary she was, the more he felt afraid. Someone who couldn't even see through his Tai Chi eye must be extraordinary. The woman was wearing ordinary clothes and dressed very ordinarily. Her appearance was even more ordinary. She was the kind of person who couldn't be found in a crowd. However, such a person gave Ling Xiao a more terrifying feeling than Yang Qi and Huang Taifeng. "Sister Illusory Butterfly, I won't fight with them. I'm just interested." Ling Xiao smiled and said he didn't expect to get all of the giant dragon's treasures. After all, there were too many experts. As long as he could get 1 or 2 pieces, or let Long Chen get the giant dragon force, that was enough. Ling Xiao didn't have any other skills except for picking up scraps. "Everyone, let's work together. If we can't break the barrier, the ruins will disappear in front of us. After the barrier is broken, we'll fight for it with our own abilities, okay?" Huang Taifeng said loudly. As expected of a 9th level divine physique echelon expert, his voice was full of energy. His words were heard by everyone around him. Everyone nodded. They began to circulate their divine essence. In an instant, a violent divine essence storm began to condense. Ling Xiao didn't move, of course. It wasn't that he didn't want help, but it was meaningless with his strength. Boom! The violent energy instantly bombarded the barrier of the ruins. In an instant, the barrier shattered. In that instant, Ling Xiao instinctively used the Earth Golden Light technique to dodge, because he discovered that at the moment when the barrier shattered, something was released. Just as he was about 1,000 meters away, he heard a scream. And it wasn't just one scream. "Damn it, what is this? I don't want to die." Mournful screams rang out one after another, causing everyone's hearts to tremble violently. Panic began to spread. "Is this dragon's extinguishment?" Ling Xiao looked carefully. It turned out that what was released from the barrier was the giant dragon's extinguishment. However, this dragon's extinguishment wasn't newly released. From the looks of it, it seemed like dragon's extinguishment had been condensed for tens of thousands of years. Its power was too terrifying. If he hadn't dodged in time, he would have died. Not far from him, Illusory Butterfly was in a sorry state. Her veil had fallen off, and her hair was a little messy. "Sister, you're really beautiful. Why do you have to be an assassin?" Ling Xiao looked at Illusory Butterfly and said. Chapter 5070. How did you know there would be danger? Ignoring Ling Xiao's praise, the illusion butterfly looked at Ling Xiao with a surprised look. If she hadn't followed Ling Xiao just now, she would have been buried in the dragon's extinction. In that instant, there were many cultivators who were stronger than her among those who were killed. Nearly 100 people died in the dragon's extinction without any chance of survival. Seeing this scene, the illusion butterfly was still scared. "If I say it's my intuition, would you believe me?" Ling Xiao smiled. There were also people like him, who weren't strong but managed to avoid danger. Intuition is something that has a scientific basis. Forget it. I can't get anything out of you anyway. The illusion butterfly stared at Ling Xiao's eyes, as if trying to see if Ling Xiao was lying. But after a long while, she couldn't see anything and could only give up. At this time, another unforeseen event occurred. After the terrifying dragon's extinction caused many people to die, the ruins began to collapse. Terrifying roars continued to resound. In the black desert, something seemed to be about to appear. The entire black desert began to shake. Those who were chasing Ling Xiao were fighting with the cactus at this time. Suddenly, the sky and earth turned upside down, and many people died tragically. Ling Xiao stood there and looked at the strange changes in the distance. The ruins collapsed, but in the black desert, something seemed to be rising. The black wind in the sky seemed to have been blown away by a lot, allowing people to see it more clearly. At the same time, the terrifying dragon's aura became clearer and clearer. Even the illusion butterfly sensed it. There's really a dragon! The illusion butterfly cried out in surprise. Roar! The terrifying roar resounded again. This time, everyone seemed to have heard it. Many people even covered their ears, bleeding from their 7 orifices. Ling Xiao had learned his lesson from the last time and had long since made preparations, so he didn't feel uncomfortable like before. Gradually, the ruins completely peeled off like an eggshell, revealing the real scene inside. There was a huge crack in the ground. Inside, one could vaguely see the outline of a city. In the city, a powerful dragon's aura was emitted. Everyone present could feel it. Giant Dragon City. Ling Xiao looked at the walls of the Rift Valley in shock. With his Tai Chi eye, he could clearly see the scene below. The structure of the city walls was extremely unique, especially the giant dragon carvings and giant dragon sculptures that could be seen everywhere. Ling Xiao could even imagine that this place wasn't a black desert back then. Instead, it was part of the oasis. It also gave birth to a huge dragon city. Unfortunately, for some unknown reason, the city of the giant dragon was buried under the ground. Later on, people built another city on top of the city of the giant dragon. Later on, the black desert swallowed up the area. The giant dragon city was buried deep underground. It was only recently that he was discovered. Although he didn't know what had happened in the giant dragon city back then, one thing was certain. There must be an unimaginable amount of wealth in these undiscovered ruins. That was when Yang Qi made his move. He actually flew towards the Great Rift Valley. Even geniuses like Yang Qi from the Golden Domain were attracted to the city of colossal dragons. Just as he reached the entrance of the Rift Valley, a terrifying dragon extinguishing rushed towards him. Chuckling coldly, Yang Qi sent out a beam of golden light that destroyed Dragon Extinguish. It opened a path for him, and he easily stepped into the Rift Valley. So strong! Even Ling Xiao couldn't help but admire Yang Qi's terrifying strength. Rumor has it that Yang Qi was struck by lightning when he was young, but he didn't die. Instead, a god appeared on his forehead. He was reborn, and his talent became much stronger. What he used was none other than the power of the gods. Illusionary Butterfly explained. Perhaps it was because Ling Xiao's life was saved, but her attitude towards Ling Xiao was much better than before. We can't fall behind. Huang Taifeng led a group of people and followed Yang Qi. Let's go. Immediately, the sound of the air being pierced rang out as countless martial artists rushed towards the Rift Valley like fish. Of course, this included the ordinary-looking woman with terrifying strength. What should we do, Sister Illusionary Butterfly? I'm going to the Rift Valley. Are you going to continue chasing me? Ling Xiao smiled and also headed towards the Rift Valley. Kid, do you really want to die? You saw the danger just now. If you didn't dodge in time, you would be dead. Illusionary Butterfly's concern seemed to be sincere. She didn't understand where Ling Xiao got his courage from. He couldn't even block the dragon extinguishing just now. He still dared to rush in. The dragon extinguishing would definitely be more terrifying in the city of giant dragons. There's a saying that blessings and misfortunes come hand in hand. Since the danger is so great, I'll definitely gain more. Instead of being killed by you guys, I might as well fight bravely. Maybe I can fight for a bright future. Goodbye. Ling Xiao suddenly sped up and followed the crowd into the Rift Valley. It was obviously safer when there were more people because there would be others to share the danger. Lunatic. Illusionary Butterfly shook her head in shock. Among all the martial artists who entered the Rift Valley, the weakest was at her level, the early stage of the 8th level Divine Physique Echelon. Ling Xiao was merely at the 5th level Divine Physique Echelon. He was simply courting death. At this moment, Ling Xiao couldn't hear her voice. It was because the distance was too far. Long Qin, how about I leave the dragon extinguishing to you? Ling Xiao said to Long Qin in the universe world. No problem. Long Qin replied. There's still me. Little Gold's voice rang out. Boss, don't forget that the dragon extinguishing is also heat. It's very helpful for increasing my strength. Then the two of you come together. The dragon extinguishing is too powerful. I'm worried if there's only one of you. Ling Xiao smiled. At this moment, the dragon extinguishing that was pouncing towards him instantly entered the universe world. It was dissolved and absorbed by Long Chen and Little Gold. Seems like there's no problem. After Ling Xiao confirmed that there was no danger, he turned his attention to the black shadows in the distance. These black shadows flew up from the city of giant dragons. There were many of them. The martial artists in front had already started fighting with them. However, Ling Xiao didn't want to waste his energy. Using the Holy Ground demonic shadow movement technique, he chose to dodge as much as possible. Those black shadows were just puppets that didn't have consciousness and only knew how to attack. Therefore, his plan was very successful. Anyway, there were so many martial artists. As long as he suddenly disappeared, the puppets wouldn't chase after him and attack him. Soon, Ling Xiao rushed to the front. He was together with Huang Taifeng and the rest. As for Yang Qi and Yin Li, they had already disappeared. Yin Li was the name of the ordinary-looking woman. It was the illusionary butterfly who told him this person's name. However, the illusionary butterfly wasn't particularly familiar with Yin Li's situation. It only knew that this woman was a terrifying genius who suddenly rose to prominence. She was originally unknown, just like her appearance. However, one day, Yin Li killed a powerhouse from the holy city and became famous. However, where she came from and who she cultivated with were still unsolved mysteries. Chapter 5071. Whoosh! Suddenly, a ray of cold light attacked him. Ling Xiao dodged instinctively. However, the cold light was too fast and left a deep wound on his body. You're not dead? A 5th level Divine Physique Echelon trash dares to take a share of the loot? Get lost. The one who attacked Ling Xiao was Huang Taifeng. A casual attack from a 9th level Divine Physique Echelon expert took all of Ling Xiao's strength to avoid hitting his vitals. Even so, he was still injured. He had no enmity with this Huang Taifeng, but this person suddenly attacked him. This infuriated him greatly. However, Huang Taifeng obviously didn't take him seriously. He thought he was weak, so he bullied him. After attacking once, he left. Huang Taifeng's strength might not be as strong as Yang Qi, but this guy had 2 half-step divine soul generals following him. A member of the royal family was indeed a member of the royal family. Although he had fallen, he still had a lot of style. With the help of experts, Huang Taifeng and his group broke through the obstruction of the puppets in an instant and disappeared into the distance. Huang Taifeng, I'll remember you. Ling Xiao was a person who held grudges the most. Even now, he wasn't a match for others. However, He was very confident in his talent. He believed he could catch up with the other party soon and trample this so-called member of the royal family under his feet. Huang Taifeng asked him to get lost. Of course, he wouldn't listen to him obediently, even if he couldn't get anything this time. He wanted to make Huang Taifeng suffer. "Xiao, are you okay?" Yu Fenghua asked worriedly. "Don't worry, it's just a small injury." Ling Xiao smiled and sped up to follow the rest of the group. He was blocked by Huang Taifeng's idiot just now, so he fell behind by a lot. When he caught up with the group, he noticed the martial artists in front suddenly stopped. This was the entrance of the giant dragon city. There was a dragon crystal hanging on the tall city gate tower. This was a genuine dragon crystal. It wasn't a pseudo-dragon crystal extracted from fossils by the dragon priests of the 4 regions and 9 worlds. The two were not on the same level in terms of nature. The energy contained in it was far from the real dragon crystal. This dragon crystal wasn't very big, but it was as big as 4 heads of an adult. The atmosphere in the air was somewhat tense. Everyone wanted to obtain the dragon crystal, but no one made a move. They seemed to be waiting for someone else to make the first move. Ling Xiao, who was weak, naturally chose to avoid it. He stood there in the distance. With his strength, he could only pick up scraps. If he were to snatch from others, it would be difficult for him to escape death. Boom! In the next instant, dozens of powerhouses flew up at the same time and pounced toward the dragon crystal. Just as he was about to touch the dragon crystal, a terrifying aura was suddenly released. At that moment, people seemed to see a huge black dragon flapping its wings and roaring. Ling Xiao turned around and ran. His current position was already very far away from the dragon crystal, but he still didn't feel safe. He went to a farther place and even activated the invincible ape deity array. The terrifying aura made him realize that he was in great danger. He believed that this was the safest option. Feeling safe, Ling Xiao raised his head and looked at the situation over there. The dozen or so martial artists who were closest to the dragon crystal at the same time had already become corpses. Moreover, his death was extremely tragic. The other martial artists were more or less affected to some extent. The closer they were, the greater the damage they suffered. How terrifying! This giant dragon city is indeed full of danger. Just now, Ling Xiao had also discovered that there were unstable energy fluctuations on the dragon crystal. That was why he reacted in advance. Otherwise, even if he didn't die, he would have to withdraw with serious injuries. We can only see it, but we can't touch it. Such a good dragon crystal is actually going to be left here like this? Everyone wanted to leave, but they were very reluctant. What could be more painful than this? The treasure was right in front of them, but they couldn't touch it. It was simply heart-wrenching. Perhaps Yang Qi could get it, but he was long gone. Perhaps he was on a different path from everyone else. Ling Xiao looked at Ainli. That woman didn't seem to be interested in the dragon crystal. She just stood there calmly and no one knew what she was thinking. A bunch of trash! At this moment, Huang Taifeng sneered, and a terrifying god martial spirit appeared behind him. It was the golden god martial spirit that could only be awakened by the royal bloodline of the golden martial kingdom. However, there were many different appearances of the golden god. Huang Taifeng's golden god looked more like a soldier made of gold. It held a spear in its hand and wore golden armor. After the god martial spirit was released, a terrifying martial spirit power was released. It shook the surrounding air to the point where it made a loud noise. The golden god suddenly appeared, reached out, and grasped the dragon crystal in his hands. Golden god's might, God submit! Huang Taifeng shouted coldly. Just as the dragon crystal was about to release its power, it was wrapped in a layer of golden liquid. Its power was completely sealed. This allowed Huang Taifeng to easily put the dragon crystal away. Although Ling Xiao didn't like this guy, he had to admit that this guy had a good martial spirit. In the eternal divine domain, martial spirits were divided into high and low ranks. Ordinary martial spirits and god martial spirits were divided into different ranks. As a high-grade god martial spirit, the golden god martial spirit was extremely powerful. After taking the dragon crystal, Huang Taifeng led his people and continued to move forward. No one noticed that there was a strange energy fluctuation behind the dragon crystal that had been taken away. The rest of the people followed Huang Taifeng. Ling Xiao didn't leave because he noticed the energy fluctuations behind the dragon crystal. He couldn't snatch it from others, but he could pick it up. He hadn't made a move yet because there was one more person who hadn't left. That person was Yinli. Yinli glanced at Ling Xiao and said indifferently, "You're very special. You're only at the 5th level of the divine physique echelon, but you were able to resist the terrifying dragon extinguishment. You're really impressive. Miss, you flatter me. Your strength is truly frightening." Ling Xiao smiled. Among these people, the only ones he felt helpless against were Yin Li and Yang Qi. Although the others were strong, Ling Xiao had ways to make them suffer. Only these two people he could only think about but didn't dare to try. If he failed, he might not even have the chance to escape. "You know my strength, but you still dare to talk to me in such a manner. I'm even more interested in you now. If you can survive this time, I'll treat you to wine." After saying that, Yinli suddenly pointed a finger. The city tower was destroyed. There was actually a complete skeleton of a giant dragon inside the damaged city wall. Yinli smiled and waved her hand. She then put away the dragon's skeleton. Ling Xiao was really envious, but he couldn't help it. Who asked her to find it? This plan of picking up scraps had to be put on hold for now. "Goodbye." Yinli put away the giant dragon skeleton and turned to leave. Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief. Talking to such a terrifying person was really stressful. "Big brother, why aren't you chasing after her?" After Yinli left, Ling Xiao still didn't move. Instead, he stared at the giant city wall in a daze. This made Long Qin a little confused, so he asked, "The fastest mobile version of the website." Chapter 5072. Long Qin, do you believe what I'm going to say next? Ling Xiao looked at the huge city wall with shock in his eyes. "Of course, I believe you, big brother." Long Qin said, "I saw it. There are thousands of dragons sleeping in these huge city walls. No, to be more precise, these thick city walls are made of the bodies of the dragons. Only 2 to 3 meters on the surface are stone buildings." Ling Xiao told him what he saw with his Taiji eye. It was a shocking scene. The densely packed dragons were next to each other, forming the thick city walls of the giant dragon city. The most important thing was that Ling Xiao could still feel the aura of life from the bodies of these dragons. It was just relatively weak. It was as if they had chosen to sleep for a long time, like hibernation. "That's impossible." Long Qin was so shocked that his expression was distorted. The others were also shocked. Just the city walls made of dragons were already bizarre enough. Now that he knew that these giant dragons were alive, no one would be able to accept it immediately. "I also think it's impossible, but it's true." Ling Xiao smiled bitterly and said, "What's going on with this giant dragon city?" He had a strange speculation in his heart. The natives of the giant dragon city in the past were not dead, but they had encountered some kind of disaster at that time. In order to avoid the disaster, they chose this way to fall into a deep sleep. Now he was most worried that the exploration of the ruins this time would awaken these dragons. That would be the most terrifying disaster. Although Ling Xiao could not see the strength of these dragons, he felt that the weakest among them was stronger than Yin Li and Yang Qi. What kind of scene would it be if thousands of dragons of this level appeared? It was scary just thinking about it. "What should we do, big brother? Do we continue to move forward?" Xiao Jin asked. "Of course. Even if we don't go in, others might alarm these dragons. It's actually a good thing that we know in advance. I'll let the Reverend Body stay outside to provide support." If danger comes, we can know immediately and use the reverend body to escape. Ling Xiao released the reverend body and hid in the dark. Then he stepped into the interior of the giant dragon city. At that moment, Long Chen also felt the aura of a giant dragon. A terrifying aura was being emitted from the wall, but it was very affectionate. Perhaps it was because he was also a dragon. Many skeletons could be seen in giant dragon city. Some of them were human skeletons. The rest were actually the skeletons of giant dragons. However, the energy of these skeletons had already been used up, and they were no longer of any use. It seemed to have been forcefully absorbed by something. Those human skeletons were also very special. There seemed to be a part of their heads that was very different from human skeletons. Apart from this area, he couldn't see anything else. These skeletons no longer had any energy attached to them. With a light touch, it shattered into pieces. The people in front of him must have tried it as well, so he could see a lot of ashes on the ground. This was illogical. Logically speaking, for a creature as powerful as a giant dragon, even if only its skeleton was left behind, it would have lived for a very long time. However, as long as it was within 1,000,000 years, it would be impossible to exhaust all of its energy. There was only one explanation for this situation, which was that an external force had absorbed the energy. This made Ling Xiao even more shocked. What exactly happened in Giant Dragon City back then? The giant dragon couldn't even preserve its own skeleton. He continued to walk forward. Finally, he joined the main group. At this time, most of the warriors stopped. This was a courtyard, and in the middle of the courtyard stood a majestic giant dragon statue. Of course, this wasn't the key point. The key point was that the two eyes of this giant dragon statue were actually made up of 2 dragon crystals. And the quality of this dragon crystal was much stronger than the one on the city gate tower. A monstrous dragon might was constantly being released, making everyone greedy and fearful at the same time. No one moved. With experience outside the city gate, everyone had obviously learned their lesson. Big Brother, the owners of these 2 dragon crystals, were probably the Dragon Emperor and Dragon Queen of Giant Dragon City when they were alive. Such dragon crystals are too precious, even in the eternal divine realm. I'm afraid you can't find 2 of the same kind. Long Chen reminded. After all, he was a member of the giant dragon bloodline. His knowledge of dragon crystals was much richer than Ling Xiao's. Of course, Ling Xiao wanted these 2 dragon crystals, but the problem was how? Both of these dragon crystals contained a terrifying amount of power. Even Yin Li and Yang Qi didn't dare to touch them. Huang Taifeng didn't dare to, because anyone who touched it would be destroyed. Huang Taifeng's arrogant look from before was completely gone. He stood there looking very annoyed, but he still didn't dare to make a move, because that power was definitely not something he could withstand. Ling Xiao turned his head to look around, and quickly analyzed the situation of the entire courtyard with his Taiji eye. His eyes flashed with a strange light. He could get something that others couldn't touch. This was called picking up a bargain. However, he couldn't get close to the giant dragon statue at all, not to mention snatching the dragon crystal. He had to think of a way first. Long Chen, do you have a way to get the dragon crystal? Ling Xiao asked. After all, Long Chen was a giant golden dragon. Perhaps he had a different way. Sorry, Big Brother. I really can't think of any way, but I suggest we stay a little further away. Those people will soon be unable to resist their greed and attack. It's safer to stay a little further away, Long Chen said. Ling Xiao was a little disappointed, but he still released the invincible ape god formation. Long Chen was right. These guys stayed here and refused to leave. It was obvious that they were having a psychological struggle. No one knew when they would suddenly attack. It would cause a disaster. He had just finished his defensive work. Then he saw Yin Li move. Yang Qi wasn't here, so Yin Li was the strongest among these people. Her figure flashed, and she was already on top of the giant dragon statue. A pure energy was released from her body and wrapped around one of the dragon crystals. The rest of the people didn't go up together, nor did they stop her. It was as if they wanted to see what would happen to Ainley. The energy instantly turned into a blooming lotus flower. The lotus flower showed 7 colors and was very beautiful. The dragon crystal sensed the might of this power and suddenly released a terrifying energy to resist. Boom! The terrifying energy collision caused the surrounding air to distort. Many martial artists even vomited blood. They hurriedly fled into the distance. Ling Xiao felt incomparably fortunate. Fortunately, he was relatively far away. Otherwise, he would probably have died. The energy released by the 7-colored lotus flower became stronger and stronger. It was as if it was going to tear the dragon crystal out by force. Roar! The giant dragon was furious. The entire giant dragon statue seemed to have come alive. It released an even more terrifying power and instantly turned the entire courtyard into a sea of fire. Chapter 5073. A terrifying sea of fire was unleashed from the dragon statue. In an instant, dozens of martial artists were burned to ashes. As for Ling Xiao, he was still the furthest away, so he suffered the least damage. Only the invincible ape divine array was shattered. However, it was still terrifying. If he had rushed over to snatch the dragon crystal, he would have been a dead man by now. Bang! The 7-colored lotus was instantly shattered. A trace of blood seeped out of the corner of Ainley's mouth. Although she wasn't seriously injured, it was impossible for her to obtain the treasure by herself. The shadow of a giant dragon appeared above the giant dragon statue. There were 2 of them. Although Ainley had only touched one of the dragon crystals, both dragon crystals released a terrifying defensive power at this time. They looked down at the crowd with ferocious faces. It's just a dragon crystal. It's not a real dragon. How dare you be so arrogant? Come with me and snatch the dragon crystal. Huang Taifeng called out to his subordinates and charged over. Ainley was obviously unable to snatch the dragon crystal by herself. However, if everyone worked together, the situation would be different. There were more than 10,000 martial artists present. If everyone gathered their strength, even the dragon crystal would be defeated. After all, the dragon crystal wasn't a real dragon. Its strength was limited. The 2 half-step divine soul realm martial artists beside Huang Taifeng attacked first. They tried to destroy the 2 illusory dragons. The golden beast martial soul that protected the golden god appeared behind them. One was a golden leopard, and the other was a golden lion. The 2 energies bloomed at the same time. Their power was extremely terrifying. The 2 illusory dragons looked coldly at the 2 people who were charging over. They opened their mouths and spat out dragon extinguishment. They were clearly illusory and not real dragons, but they could use the power of the dragon crystal to release dragon extinguishment. The 2 dragon extinguishments pounced on the 2 half-step divine soul realm martial artists. They were blocked by a golden lion and a golden leopard. "Young master, we have a chance!" They roared and called out to Huang Taifeng. Huang Taifeng also knew that this was an opportunity. However, the other martial artists also saw it as an opportunity. They all rushed over, trying to snatch the dragon crystal, while the 2 half-step divine soul realm martial artists blocked the dragon extinguishment. However, they seemed to have underestimated the dragon crystal. In the next moment, more illusory dragons appeared. However, these shadows were much smaller in size. One after another, they pounced on those warriors. Huang Taifeng released his golden divine martial spirit and pierced the small dragon phantom with his spear. However, in the next instant, the illusory figure exploded. At the same time, he released the terrifying dragon extinguish, which wrapped around Huang Taifeng's body. Fortunately, Huang Taifeng was prepared. His body was enveloped in a golden light. allowing him to avoid this suicidal attack. Unfortunately, not everyone was as lucky as him. Although the small colossal dragon's shadow was not strong, it could self-destruct. The dragon's extinction released by the explosion could instantly kill a 9th-level divine physique echelon expert. Dozens of martial artists were killed by this power. Good heavens! Fortunately, I don't have the strength to fight for the dragon crystal. Otherwise, I'm afraid I would have died even more miserably than them. Seeing this scene, Ling Xiao couldn't help but feel a lingering fear. Come on, the energy of the dragon crystal is limited, and the giant dragon phantoms are about to be killed. Continue. Huang Taifeng roared, and the rest of the people also charged over. Once he was prepared, he would try his best to attack from a distance. That way, the self-destruction would be ineffective. Victory was in sight. The 2 dragon crystals released light again. In the next instant, a gust of black wind blew. All the martial artists who approached the colossal dragon statue were bound by the black wind. Upon closer inspection, the black wind looked like black snakes. Not only could it bind the enemy, but it could also release terrifying toxins to corrode the enemy's body. How terrifying! These 2 dragon crystals have really prepared too many ways to deal with them. At least 1/3 of the martial artists who entered the colossal dragon city would die if they wanted to obtain these 2 dragon crystals. Ling Xiao shook his head secretly. He had already given up on the fight for the dragon crystals because he noticed that the colossal dragon statue seemed to have a secret through the Tai Chi eye. However, the battle over there was still intense, so he couldn't go over. He was now like a bystander, standing outside the courtyard to observe the battle. There were many martial artists anyway, and an insignificant martial artist like him wouldn't be valued. In fact, even if he wanted to go over and help, he couldn't do much, because he wasn't strong enough. Damn it, these black winds are so difficult to deal with. Huang Taifeng had already released his golden divine martial spirit, but he still couldn't break free from the black wind's restraint. If this continued, he would most likely die here. After all, his cultivation wasn't considered strong. He was only at the 9th-level divine physique realm, which was considered average among the martial artists here. A half-step divine soul realm martial artist could break free from the black wind, but it would take time. It wouldn't be easy for Huang Taifeng's subordinates to save him. At this moment, Ainli had already broken free from the black wind's restraint and approached the 2 dragon crystals. The dragon crystals seemed to have exhausted all their means. As long as Ainli got close, she would be able to seize the treasure. Bastard, these are mine. The golden 1,000-blade spear. Huang Taifeng wasn't willing to use the treasure in his hand at first. The golden 1,000-blade spear, an emperor weapon with 3 divine dragon patterns, was extremely powerful. It was also the strongest emperor weapon that Huang Taifeng could use. With the appearance of the golden 1,000-blade spear, the dazzling sword light instantly cleared the black wind around him. Then he flew toward the dragon crystals with the spear in his hand. This guy actually has an emperor weapon with 3 divine dragon patterns, as expected of a member of the imperial family. Ling Xiao couldn't help but sneer when he saw Huang Taifeng breaking free from the trap. You bullied me for no reason before. Now it's time for me to take revenge. At this moment, Huang Taifeng and Ainli each went for a dragon crystal. They didn't stop each other. After all, if they fought each other now, they might not be able to get the dragon crystals. This was what it meant when both sides worked together. Ainli used the same method. The rainbow lotus appeared again. Although Huang Taifeng was weak, the golden 1,000-blade spear in his hand was extremely powerful. Countless spear shadows enveloped the other dragon crystal. He wanted to seize the dragon crystal by force. Rumble. At this moment, something terrifying happened. As the dragon crystal continued to struggle, the Great Rift Valley began to close. Black sand kept emerging from the ground. The giant dragon city seemed to be returning to the desert. Yin Li and Huang Taifeng didn't care about this change. They were focused on seizing the dragon crystals. At this moment, a black lotus platform appeared above Ling Zhao's head. Ling Zhao's heavenly demon eye could increase the power of the black lotus radiance. He knew that his black lotus radiance couldn't do anything to Huang Taifeng. However, it could definitely cause Huang Taifeng to be confused. In this way, it wouldn't be easy for Huang Taifeng to get the dragon crystal. He might even be injured by the dragon crystal's backlash. What? The black lotus platform crashed into Huang Taifeng's body. At that moment, Huang Taifeng's eyes became dull, even if the time was very short. However, the dragon crystal had already obtained the opportunity to turn the tables. It suddenly released a terrifying energy and knocked the golden thousand-blade spear away. The fastest mobile version of the website. Chapter 5074. Bastard who ambushed me. Huang Taifeng never dreamed that there would be someone among these people who dared to ambush him. Moreover, it was such a brilliant soul secret technique. Not only did it cause him to lose his golden thousand-blade spear, but it also put him in danger. A terrifying energy burst out from the dragon crystal and blasted towards him. At that moment, Huang Taifeng almost despaired. With his cultivation, if he didn't have the golden thousand-blade spear to block it, he would be dead for sure. Young master, one of the half-step divine soul realm experts, rushed out at the critical moment. He blocked the fatal blow for Huang Taifeng, but he was killed by the energy released by the dragon crystal. After killing the half-step divine soul realm expert, the dragon crystal abandoned Huang Taifeng and rushed towards Yin Li. Yin Li was about to suppress one of the dragon crystals, but she had no choice but to give up. The two dragon crystals broke through the sky and flew out of the Rift Valley. Bastard, if I find out who ambushed me, I'll kill him. Huang Taifeng roared at the crowd and led his men to break through the sky. The Rift Valley began to close. The wisest thing to do now was to chase after the dragon crystals. Although he didn't know who ambushed him, it was impossible to find out in such an environment. Seeing Huang Taifeng leave, Ling Zhao's lips curled into a sneer. Too bad it's not you who died, you idiot. You have to pay the price for bullying others, no matter who you are. After Huang Taifeng left, the martial artists chased after him. This place was the core of Giant Dragon City. They firmly believed that the two dragon crystals that even divine soul realm experts yearned for were the best treasures. In addition, the Rift Valley was closing. No one knew what would happen next. Of course, they would choose to chase after the dragon crystals. After everyone left, Ling Xiao hurriedly rushed to the vicinity of the giant dragon statue. He had already sensed that there was a secret in that place. Unfortunately, he was too weak to check it in front of everyone. Now that everyone had left, he could check it in peace. Boss, are we not going out? I feel like the Rift Valley is about to close. Xiao Jin asked doubtfully. The Rift Valley closing is just a smokescreen. I'm afraid there really is a giant dragon here. This is to protect Giant Dragon City. Although Ling Xiao was the weakest among those people, he was still the strongest. However, in terms of understanding of formations, he was the best of the best. In the entire eternal divine realm, there was probably no one who was stronger than him except for his master, the Yuan Venerate. The Great Rift Valley was indeed shaking. It was indeed closing, but it would last for at least a day. Some kind of powerful existence had used a formation to create a large-scale camouflage. This caused people to mistakenly think that the Great Rift Valley was closing extremely quickly. Creating a smokescreen on the basis of facts would make it easier for people to believe. However, this kind of trick could not escape his eyes. As Ling Xiao spoke, he had already arrived near the dragon statue. The entire body of the sculpture was carved with scales. If one did not look carefully, it would be difficult to notice that one of the scales was different from the rest. but instead it was where the mechanism was. Ling Xiao's taiji, I caught this. Of course, it was also because of his familiarity with array formations that he was the first to break the camouflage. Master, I need your help. I have found the key scale, but I don't have the ability to break the array formation on it. Ling Xiao observed for a moment. Although his array formation ability was already very strong, it was still incomparable to his master, the Yuan Venerate. It's simple. The Yuan Venerate said casually. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. He was probably the only one in the entire eternal divine realm who dared to say that it was simple. Even if all the array formation masters in the eternal divine realm were here, they probably would not have the ability to break this thing. However, a Yuan Venerate could. While the Yuan Venerate was breaking the array formation, Ling Xiao released the bloodthirsty plague and absorbed all the energy of the dead experts. The weakest of these experts was an 8th-level divine body echelon cultivator. The strongest was a half-step divine soul echelon cultivator. After absorbing the energy, Ling Xiao's divine essence level soared by 2 levels and reached level 5. He was not far from the level of the eternal divine realm. In addition, he also picked up Huang Taifeng's golden 1,000-blade spear. He gave this spear directly to Long Qin. The combination of the golden dragon and the golden 1,000-blade spear was naturally outstanding. However, in order to avoid trouble, he modified the golden 1,000-blade spear. Its appearance changed the most. Its effect also improved to a certain extent. Although Long Qin could not use the Emperor weapon with 3 divine dragon patterns for the time being, he would be able to use it sooner or later. In addition, the 6 people, including Long Qin, were each given an Emperor weapon with 2 divine dragon patterns. They had obtained these from the experts who had been killed. Ling Xiao had obtained 3 such treasures. He saved them all. He was going to use them when he upgraded the Void God sword. It could be said that the few of them had gained a lot. Kacha! At that moment, the sculpture suddenly sank, revealing a stone staircase that led underground. Thank you, Master. Ling Xiao knew that the mechanism had been broken. Thus, he quickly rushed down. No one knew if those fellows who had chased after Yang Qi would return. No one knew the whereabouts of that Yang Qi. Therefore, Ling Xiao had to speed up whatever he wanted to do. Otherwise, breaking this mechanism would be a gift to others. Stepping into the space under the stone staircase, Ling Xiao also set up a small illusion. Because it was small, it was easier to control and set up. After he was done, he went down the stairs. There were about 100 steps. When he walked down the last step, a fierce aura instantly enveloped him. At that moment, he felt as if he had fallen into a sea of blood. Universe of Tyrants. Ling Xiao entered the beast god body state and released Universe of Tyrants. Only then did his body feel a little better. The underground space was not too big. Ling Xiao saw a huge container in the underground space at a glance. There was a dragon egg in the container. This was the egg of a giant dragon. Moreover, it was not a fossil, but a real egg. The dragon egg was soaked in a black liquid, which emitted a strange fishy smell. Big brother, that's the dragon blood of the black-winged giant dragon. As a giant dragon, Long Chen recognized what the black liquid was at a glance. It's actually dragon blood. Long Chen, hurry up and absorb it. Ling Xiao said. Giant dragon blood was obviously more suitable for Long Chen. Although Ling Xiao also had dragon blood, it was a higher grade divine dragon bloodline. The effect of absorbing dragon blood was obviously not as great as Long Chen's. Thank you, big brother. Long Chen did not decline. After coming out of the universe world, he opened his mouth and inhaled. The black-wind giant dragon blood fused into his body. The next moment, he closed his eyes. The process of refining the dragon blood began. Ling Xiao kept Long Chen back into the universe world. Long Chen probably did not have much combat strength left. However, when the refinement of the dragon blood was completed, Long Chen's strength might increase tremendously. What about the dragon egg? Yu Fanghua looked at the dragon egg that was soaked in the dragon blood and felt pity. Women were soft-hearted after all. Chapter 5075. If Fanghua likes it, you can take it to incubate. Who knows? You might have a powerful partner in the future. Ling Xiao laughed. Men always liked to strengthen their women so that they would not be bullied by others. Especially in this world of martial artists, danger lurked everywhere. No one knew if they would be separated in the next moment. Therefore, Ling Xiao's idea was very simple. He only hoped that Yu Fenghua's fighting power would be stronger and her survival ability would be stronger. As he spoke, he kept the dragon egg into the universe of tyrants. In the universe of tyrants, the dragon egg could absorb the power of the universe to incubate. In the future, he could give it to Yu Fanghua. However, just as he was about to put away the dragon egg, a voice suddenly rang out. Suddenly, the basement shook violently. A huge shadow suddenly appeared. Although it was terrifying, Ling Xiao was not afraid. The other party was just a shadow, so its fighting power would not be too strong. Moreover, the appearance of the other party was probably related to the dragon egg. It could be said that he had dragon essence. If the other party really wanted to harm him, he could use the dragon egg to threaten him. Although it was a little despicable, if he still cared about principles in this situation, he would not be far from death. Let the young master go, or I will let you sleep in this underground forever. The huge shadow was an adult black wind dragon. Not only was its body huge, but the power of the shadow had reached the level of divine soul realm. It was very terrifying. Brother dragon, do you think it's good to threaten me now? Ling Xiao looked at the huge shadow and said coldly, if you are a smart dragon, you should know that you should know. The only one who can protect your young master now is me. Those people outside might not protect the dragon egg well when they see it. They might even refine it directly. After all, the power of the dragon egg is also very strong. The black wind dragon's huge claws had already reached the top of Ling Xiao's head. But at that moment, it stopped. He had to admit that Ling Xiao's words were very reasonable. Looking at you, you only have a trace of dragon soul left, right? Do you think you can protect him? Wake up. The level of your dragon blood is too low. If you want to incubate your young master, it will be as difficult as ascending to heaven. But I'm different. I possess the bloodline of the primordial divine Dragon King. At that moment, Ling Xiao released the aura of a primordial divine Dragon King. He didn't use his bloodline power much in battle, mainly because he didn't know how to use it. Perhaps it was because his strength was too weak that he was unable to use the treasures despite having them. However, the primordial divine Dragon King's bloodline power was still 1 in 10,000. Just this little bit of bloodline power was enough to give him supreme authority in the Dragon Clan. Back then, he had relied on the power of the primordial divine Dragon King's bloodline to subdue Long Chen's clan. Divine Dragon King, you really are the successor of the Divine Dragon King. The black, wind colossal dragon's shadow suddenly knelt on the ground. It was an absolute submission to a superior. Ling Xiao's primordial divine Dragon King bloodline was simply too powerful. It was enough to crush any dragon bloodline in the world. In addition, the black wind colossal dragon worshipped the divine Dragon King to begin with. That was why it was even more so. How could it be fake? Ling Xiao stood there. A divine dragon's shadow hovered above his body. It let him reveal the domineering majesty that truly belonged to the divine Dragon King, the feeling of being the only one in the world. Your Majesty, Divine Dragon King, can you really protect our black-wind colossal dragon's young master from death? The black-wind colossal dragon wasn't questioning, but looking forward to it. Ling Xiao nodded and said, I don't dare to say anything else. At the very least, I can guarantee that he will hatch and become stronger. Before he reaches adulthood, I will always protect him. However, after he reaches adulthood, it will depend on his own ability. I believe in you, your majesty. However, although you are the successor of the divine Dragon King bloodline, you are still too weak. Let me lend you a hand. The black-winged colossal dragon's idea was very simple. It would give the last of its remaining strength to Ling Xiao. This way, Ling Xiao could also become stronger. Only when Ling Xiao became stronger would the black-winged colossal dragon's young master be safer. Thank you. Ling Xiao did not refuse. The next moment, that huge dragon shadow suddenly scuttled into Ling Xiao's body, helping Ling Xiao transform his divine essence, transform his body, and transform his soul. It made everything about Ling Xiao stronger. It's not good to stay here for long. Better withdraw first. The energy in Ling Xiao's body surged. It made him very uncomfortable. However, he also knew that now was not the time to cultivate. The black-winged colossal dragon had already given all of its remaining strength to him. This colossal dragon city's sinking speed would definitely accelerate. If he didn't get out earlier, he would probably really have to stay underground for 10 years. Ling Xiao forcefully endured the discomfort and flew out. At this time, those powerhouses were still fighting for the 2 dragon crystals. However, this already had nothing to do with Ling Xiao. With his strength, he was not qualified to fight for that thing. However, he already obtained something more outstanding than that dragon crystal, so he did not ask for more. Ling Xiao also noticed that the pursuers were getting closer and closer. He quietly took advantage of the chaos to escape. No one knew that this nobody at the 5th level of the divine physique echelon could come out alive from underground. Including Huang Taifeng, everyone thought that he was dead. This was actually a good thing for him. After finding a safe place, Ling Xiao released the martial soul barrier and then used the formation to protect himself. He let Little Gold, Yufeng Hua, and Cold Plum out to protect him. Meanwhile, he began to cultivate. The energy in his body had to be refined and digested as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would really be killed by this energy. Although this black desert was very dangerous, his companion's strength had increased by a lot. Protecting him while he cultivated was not a problem. After Long Qin and I finish cultivating, our counterattack will begin. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a hint of coldness. He was very unwilling to run away. The reason why he ran was because he was not strong enough. He could not even defeat the powerhouses at the border of the Golden Martial Nation, not to mention people like Huang Taifeng, Yang Qi, and Yinli. However, if he completely absorbed the black-winged colossal dragon's energy, then the level of his divine energy would definitely reach a very high level. At that time, he would truly be able to contend with the powerhouses of the eternal divine realm. That's right. We've been too cowardly recently. We've been chased by people from Dual Axe City and Blue Sea City. It wasn't easy to find a ruin, but we didn't have the strength to fight for the treasures. Boss, this time we must give those people a good beating. Little Gold gritted her teeth. Xiao, no matter what decision you make, we'll support you. Now, let's quickly refine the energy in your body. If you become stronger, we'll have more opportunities to become stronger. Yufeng Hua said, Master, don't worry and cultivate. Cold Plum's words were short but firm. Ling Xiao nodded and did not waste any more time. He devoted himself to refining the energy. He had to admit that the remaining energy of the black-winged colossal dragon was too great. It was impossible to refine it all at once. Therefore, he had to store a portion of it as potential to prepare for future cultivation. Chapter 5076. Ling Xiao sat there cross-legged, his entire body wrapped in the black wind. A mysterious and powerful force was constantly transforming his body. Because the black-winged colossal dragon willingly offered its power, Ling Xiao did not encounter any resistance when absorbing it. This energy seemed to belong to him in the first place, being absorbed by his limbs and bones. Every cell in his body began to operate. He used this energy to refine his body, his divine essence, and his soul. He wanted to make himself stronger. While refining this energy, Ling Xiao also consumed supreme-grade spirit stones. This made the energy even purer. After all, he was not the black-winged colossal dragon. He could not duplicate all the energy at once. He still had to convert it into his own power. The supreme-grade spirit stones contained pure spiritual qi of heaven and earth, which was perfect for this effect. It could also improve the quality of the black-winged colossal dragon's energy. This was why gold-grade spirit stones were so expensive. Ling Xiao continued to guide this energy. While strengthening his body, divine essence, and soul, he also strengthened and upgraded each of his martial souls. This included the Sky Tyrant martial soul. This powerful martial soul had not been upgraded for a long time. Even so, it was Ling Xiao's most powerful trump card. Now, with the help of this energy, it was becoming more complete. The Mountain River world showed the complete outline of the 4 domains and 9 worlds. The Sky Tyrant martial soul also gave Ling Xiao more power. At the same time, the dragon egg placed in the Sky Tyrant universe was also absorbing the powerful energy and gradually hatching. Everything was going smoothly. With the powerful effect of the Tai Chi Eye, Ling Xiao would not make any mistakes in refining the energy. Yu Feng Hua, Little Gold, and Cold Plum felt Ling Xiao's rising aura and smiled. Back then, no one in the 4 domains and 9 worlds could match them. They were the top existences. Who dared to defy them? But after coming to the eternal divine realm, they hit a wall everywhere. It was difficult to even settle down in a city. Anyone would be disappointed and depressed. The reason for all this was that they were too weak. The key was that the level of his divine energy and his physical body were not high enough. If everyone stood on the same foundation, they wouldn't be so cowardly. Now, Ling Xiao was rushing in that direction. Once they succeeded, they would be able to gain more autonomy. Moreover, once Ling Xiao became stronger, the speed at which they became stronger would also increase. In the future, when they stabilized their god nations, who would dare to talk about killing them? Thinking of this, Xiao Jin was especially excited. Yu Fenghua actually didn't care. As long as she could stay by Ling Xiao's side, she felt very happy. Of course, she also wanted to become stronger. She wanted to contribute to her man. Otherwise, such happy days would be numbered. Cold Plum's thoughts were simpler. She wanted to protect her master. It was that simple. Therefore, everyone wanted to become stronger. In the distant ruins, the battle seemed to have ended. Although no one knew who had obtained the dragon crystal, a large number of experts had already left one after another. On the other side, the sounds of the pursuing troops were getting closer and closer. It was really a race against time for cultivation. After a full 3 hours, Ling Xiao integrated a large amount of the Black Wind Dragon's energy. It was just that the Black Wind Dragon's energy was too strong, so most of it was still integrated into the potential cells and stored. In future battles, he would continuously release it. Now, Ling Xiao's divine energy level had reached level 9. Although it was still a little short of level 10, he could feel that his current combat power could easily crush a 6th level divine body realm expert. It wouldn't be as uncomfortable as before. If he released Universe of Tyrants, he could even kill an early stage 7th level divine body realm martial artist. And it was a one-on-one kill. His divine energy level only needed to increase by 1 level. However, this kind of thing couldn't be forced. Anyway, the Black Wind Dragon's energy hadn't been completely digested. It should be very easy to increase by 1 level in battle. As for Long Chen, his cultivation had also ended. Long Chen's improvement was greater than Ling Xiao's. Perhaps it was because his basic divine energy wasn't as much as Ling Xiao's. Long Chen's divine energy level directly reached level 10, which was already the standard of an ordinary martial artist in the eternal divine territory. This way, Long Chen wouldn't be afraid of an ordinary peak 7th level divine body realm expert at all. In addition to his powerful golden colossal dragon bloodline, he would be able to put up a fight even if he encountered a martial artist in the early stage of the divine physique 8th level. There was another good thing, which was that the dragon egg had hatched. Of course, it was also a black wind dragon that hatched from the dragon egg. However, it was currently in the form of a baby dragon. However, the special thing was that it belonged to the black wind dragon's royal bloodline. He could clearly feel the enormous potential within it. It was only a baby dragon, but it already had a terrifying strength that was equivalent to an early-stage divine soul realm expert. However, it was a pity that, because it was too small, it had less divine energy. Therefore, it could only last for about a minute in battle. Of course, Ling Xiao was satisfied. A minute of combat power for a divine soul realm expert was too important to them now. Moreover, this baby dragon was hatched by Ling Xiao. He trusted Ling Xiao more than anyone else. He would listen to whoever Ling Xiao told him to. Little Black, she's your mother from now on. Be good and listen to her. Ling Xiao gave the Black Wind Dragon to Yu Fanghua. With such a powerful bodyguard protecting her, the possibility of Yu Fanghua being in danger should be very low. Little Black is so cute. Yu Fanghua stroked the little black dragon gently. The little fellow actually smiled comfortably. If possible, I really don't want to use him in battle. Ling Xiao looked at Little Black and smiled dotingly. After all, the little fellow was still young. Just as they were talking, a voice suddenly came from not far away. Then a few martial artists appeared in their field of vision. Without a doubt, they were martial artists from Blue Sea City. Ling Xiao put Yu Fanghua and the others into the universe world. Only by taking them by surprise could they maximize their combat power. He sat there alone and pretended to cultivate. Soon, the martial artists from Blue Sea City discovered Ling Xiao's existence. Ling Xiao's appearance had not changed, so these people recognized him at a glance. They even looked at the bounty list for a long time. They probably couldn't believe that all of this was so easy to obtain. Commander, that seems to be Ling Xiao. Finally, someone said, What? Commander Lu looked at Ling Xiao carefully and confirmed that there was no problem. But he really didn't understand. This guy clearly knew that there were pursuers behind him, but he still dared to cultivate here. Was he stupid, or did he have other motives? Sometimes things were too simple and easy to be at a loss. The current situation was like that. Be careful. Surround him and be careful of ambushes. Commander Lu ordered. The fat meat was in front of them. Even if they were worried, they couldn't do nothing. They had to try. Otherwise, they would regret it. Chapter 5077. In order to chase after Ling Xiao, Commander Lu's team of close to 100 people was now left with only 50 or so people. Many of them were still injured. In the battle with the cactus previously, the losses were really quite heavy. If he couldn't capture Ling Xiao, then even if he went back, he would still be punished. You're Ling Xiao? Commander Lu asked. He didn't dare to get close to Ling Xiao, so he was about 100 meters away from him. However, the encirclement had already been formed. More than 50 people still had an absolute advantage in numbers. These people looked at Ling Xiao with anger in their eyes. Although Ling Xiao didn't offend them, they caused a large number of their brothers to die tragically because of chasing after Ling Xiao. Naturally, they poured all their hatred onto Ling Xiao. Perhaps in their opinion, if it wasn't for Ling Xiao, they wouldn't have had so many sacrifices. However, they never thought that if they didn't chase after Ling Xiao, they wouldn't have had any sacrifices either. These guys were just so shameless. That's right, I'm Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao opened his eyes and looked at Commander Lu indifferently. You're here for me? Commander Lu smiled and said, "Are you still playing dumb? You killed so many people from Blue Sea City. You even killed my good brother, Commander Zhang. Shouldn't we be chasing after you?" "That's what they asked for." Ling Xiao said sarcastically, "If you want my bounty, don't say such nonsense. Come on, I'm right here. If you have the ability, then kill me. However, let me remind you that the moment we make a move, we'll become mortal enemies. When you die in my hands, don't blame me for not showing mercy." Hearing Ling Xiao's words, Commander Lu's brows furrowed even tighter. For Ling Xiao to be able to kill Commander Zhang, his strength was definitely not weak. However, looking at it now, Ling Xiao was only at the 5th level of the Divine Body Realm. He didn't seem as strong as he imagined. Was there really an ambush? When he thought of the bounty posters, he was almost certain that Ling Xiao had accomplices. However, he didn't know where his accomplices were at this time, nor did he discover them. Should I make a move or not? This was a problem. "Where are your accomplices?" Commander Lu asked. "Oh, them. They're nearby. Didn't you notice?" Ling Xiao smiled. "Stop trying to be mysterious. Don't try to scare us with this kind of bluff. Old Lu won't fall for that." Commander Lu roared. These words were still a test. He wanted to see panic in Ling Xiao's eyes, seeing uneasiness. Unfortunately, he was disappointed. Ling Xiao's eyes were as calm as ever. There was no panic or fear in them. This caused his expression to become extremely unsightly. This kid in front of him was much more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. "Lord Commander, this fellow is just bluffing. Let's attack." Even if his accomplices were here, there was nothing to be afraid of. Their leader's strength is so weak. The rest of them probably aren't that strong either. Someone beside him suggested. His words made Commander Lu make up his mind. "Ha ha ha! I didn't expect that old Lu was almost fooled by you." "What a pity!" Commander Lu laughed. "Everyone prepare to attack. That's why I said that you should have attacked from the start. Why are you talking so much nonsense? It makes you seem very cautious." Ling Xiao mockingly hooked his finger at Commander Lu. Commander Lu's eyes were filled with anger. Although he could only be ranked at the bottom among the 72 commanders of Blue Sea City, he was still a commander of Blue Sea City, a peak 7th level divine physique echelon expert. He was actually mocked by a 5th level divine physique echelon trash. He felt very unhappy. His heart felt like it was about to explode, especially Ling Xiao's smiling face. It simply made him extremely unhappy. At this moment, there were already other voices in the distance. Commander Lu became even more anxious. If other forces rushed over, it would be even more troublesome. Along the way, he had encountered Dual Axe City's cavalry and Dark God Palace's assassins, as well as those experts from the Land of Exile. Although they had a tacit understanding not to attack, it was only temporary. If the target appeared, a battle would definitely break out. He had to end the battle as soon as possible. "Attack, kill this kid first. I don't believe that his companions won't show up." Commander Lu clenched his teeth and finally gave the order to attack. He was also riding a tiger and had no way to back down. However, this order was really unwise. If he chose to leave, he might still be able to keep his life. However, this attack was destined to kill him. Ling Xiao and his companion's strength had increased, especially him and Long Qin, who had improved the most. In addition to Blackie's existence, how could these people win? The reason why Commander Lu didn't attack was that he was wary of Ling Xiao's companions. Moreover, he thought that his subordinates were more than enough to kill Ling Xiao. After all, there were close to 26th level divine physique echelon experts among these 50 people. The rest were 5th and 4th level divine physique echelon martial artists. If they couldn't even kill a 5th level divine physique echelon martial artist, they would be too useless. Faced with the sudden encirclement of more than 50 experts, Ling Xiao's lips curled into a cruel sneer. "Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Just nice. I can test out my new power. The power he had just obtained from the black-winged colossal dragon allowed his divine essence level to reach level 9. However, he was only speculating how terrifying the lethality of level 9 divine essence level would be. He hadn't tested it out yet. Just nice. These guys came knocking on his door. Ling Xiao slowly stood up. He entered the beast god body state. At the same time, he took out the void god sword. However, he didn't use the dominating sky possession. Faced with the attacks around him, he just swung the void god sword in a circle. He didn't use any martial skills. The next moment, there were continuous screams. The encirclement instantly collapsed. More than 10 martial artists died. All of them were 4th and 5th level divine physique echelon martial artists. Those 6th level divine physique echelon martial artists had no choice but to stop and block the attacks. In the end, the encirclement collapsed just like that. A level 9 divine essence level coupled with 2 divine dragon inscriptions emperor weapons. Even a normal attack is so fierce. Looks like my speculation still underestimated my strength. Ling Xiao didn't attack anymore. Instead, he stood there with the void god sword in his hand, silently thinking about something. Seeing this shocking scene, Commander Lu's expression changed drastically. He was originally worried about the ambush of Ling Xiao's accomplices, so he didn't take Ling Xiao's strength to heart at all. However, this scene made him realize that he had underestimated his opponent. "You bastard! What did you do just now?" Commander Lu roared angrily, killing more than 10 people in an instant. Only an expert of his level could do such a thing. "Didn't you see? I just swung my sword." Ling Xiao smiled faintly. "This is just a warning. Next time, it won't be so simple." "Ha ha ha, trying to scare old Lu? I don't believe it. Reorganize the encirclement. I'll deal with him personally." Commander Lu laughed maniacally. This guy looked like a fierce general. He wasn't frightened by Ling Xiao's strength. Peek. Chapter 5078. Huh. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. What a reckless fool. He had already shown mercy, yet he still did not know how to retreat. Since that was the case, why should he continue to hold back? At that moment, he chose the tyrannical sky possession. To deal with an expert of Commander Lu's level, he still needed to use the power of the tyrannical sky martial soul. Together with the 2 emperor weapons with divine dragon patterns, it should be able to make up for the difference in his strength. Of course, if his divine essence level reached level 10, then he wouldn't need to do that. The tyrannical sky martial soul was just to make up for the difference in divine essence quality. Ling Xiao's laughter made Commander Lu even more furious, although he didn't dare to say how powerful he was in the human race's divine nations. A mere 5th level divine physique echelon cultivator dared to laugh at him like that. This made him quite unhappy. Behind him, the sea serpent god martial soul appeared. The huge snake shadow flicked its tongue and let out a low and fearful roar. At that moment, the air was filled with the smell of blood. Blood-colored snowflakes floated in the air. This was why Commander Lu's sea serpent god martial soul was more powerful than Commander Zhang's. Not only could it control the water elements, but it could also turn the water elements into ice and snow. In the desert, the temperature plummeted, and the air was filled with a cold aura. In just a moment, the scorching desert became a palace of ice and snow. No one has ever dared to mock me like this, especially trash like you, who doesn't even understand the god martial soul. You actually dare to look down on me, an existence with a mid-grade god martial soul. I really don't know who gave you the guts. Commander Lu's body floated gently in the air, and the huge snake shadow behind him looked down at Ling Xiao as if it was looking at its prey. The sea serpent god roared at Ling Xiao with a murderous aura, causing the blood-colored ice and snow to reveal an incomparably terrifying killing intent. The martial artists that followed Commander Lu were all trembling. This murderous aura made them feel extremely uncomfortable. As expected of Commander Lu, the sea serpent god martial soul is really powerful. That's right, Commander Lu's strength is much stronger than Commander Zhang's. That kid is dead meat. The reason why our Blue Sea City is strong is because of the efforts of the 72 commanders. This time, we definitely won't fail. Commander Lu's expression did not change when he heard the crowd's words. Clearly, this was a rational person. Despite being flattered, he was still able to control his emotions. Ling Xiao, you will pay for your arrogance. Do it, don't talk nonsense. Ling Xiao gestured with a smile. Commander Lu's strength was completely within his grasp. It was not beyond his expectations. In fact, it was even worse than what he had imagined. Perhaps this person did not have the courage to press forward. When people lack courage, they will become weak. Perhaps it was because it had fused with the Black Wind Dragon's ability and became stronger. Ling Xiao felt that perhaps defeating Commander Lu would not be a difficult matter. His opponent only had an Emperor weapon with 1 divine dragon pattern, while he had the Void God sword with 2 divine dragon patterns. If he still couldn't defeat his opponent with the advantage of weapons, then he wouldn't be able to survive. Arrogant. Commander Lu really did not want to talk nonsense with Ling Xiao anymore. This arrogant guy was completely provoking him continuously. All right, since that was the case, he would use the most terrifying method to let this brat die in pain. Ice roar! Commander Lu let out a furious roar. Condensing divine essence with both hands, the huge snake shadow behind him opened its bloody mouth and let out a sky-shaking roar. Boom! A storm condensed from blood-red ice, and snow pounced toward Ling Xiao in a spiral form. It emitted a destructive sound in the void. This guy's strength has already surpassed all the martial artists in the 4 regions and 9 worlds. However, it will also become a stepping stone for me to walk to the peak. Facing this terrifying ice storm, Ling Xiao grasped the Void God sword with both hands. Divine essence kept accumulating, but he did not release a move. He wanted to wait for the best moment to make a move. When the ice storm was only 3 meters away from him, the Void God, sword in his hand, finally stabbed out. Void God technique, 9-word style. 9 sword lights merged into one, erupting with an even more powerful, point-breaking ability. It instantly tore the ice storm apart. However, the opponent's attack was also extremely powerful. The 9 sword lights also collapsed at that moment. In this exchange, they were actually evenly matched. I can do it! After this attack, Ling Xiao was even more confident. Finally, he did not have to be so cowardly. One had to know that when he faced Commander Zhang, who was about the same strength as him, he could only take a beating. But now, they were already evenly matched in battle. This was the huge improvement that the Black Wind Dragon's energy brought to him. This is impossible. This was Commander Lu's first reaction. Ling Xiao could actually fight him to a draw. This was completely illogical. It should not be like this. I like it when my opponent says something like this. Seeing you guys surprised and at a loss makes me feel good. Ling Xiao's face was brimming with a smile. With the Beast God's body, the Sky Tyrant's possession, and the Void God's sword, he already had the ability to fight an expert at the peak of the 7th level of the Divine Physique Echelon. If combined with his Martial Soul Array and various Martial Soul special skills, it should not be much of a problem to defeat Commander Lu. The Martial Soul Array could fuse with Martial Soul special skills, and it could also amplify Martial Soul special skills. They were originally existences that complemented each other. It did not mean that the other could not be used just because one was released. Continue. Ling Xiao sneered and began to take the initiative to attack. Holy Ground Demonic Shadow. Using his movement technique, he suddenly pounced on Commander Lu. This speed was much faster than before he absorbed the Black Wind Dragon's energy. Once again, Commander Lu was shocked. This caused Commander Lu to completely lose his composure. Because of a misjudgment, he completely misjudged Ling Xiao's strength. Block it. Commander Lu had already seen how terrifying the Void God sword in Ling Xiao's hand was. Therefore, he definitely could not let his opponent hit him. He raised the battle saber in his hand and faced it. If everything went as planned, his battle saber should be able to block Ling Xiao's attack. After all, he was not a weakling. But how could Ling Xiao's attack be so simple? Dragon God's Frost Array. Both of them used ice, but Ling Xiao's ability was much stronger than Commander Lu's. The moment the array appeared, Commander Lu's speed suddenly dropped. This made his eyes fill with unparalleled terror. Oh no! The Dragon God's Frost Array was not frightening, but what was frightening was that Ling Xiao had used it at the perfect time. At this time, Commander Lu could not do anything else at all. He could only watch as Ling Xiao's Void God sword stabbed at him. Crack! Commander Lu's saber-wielding right hand was chopped off. Haha, it's much more powerful. If it was at the divine origin level before, this attack would not have been able to cut off his hand. Ling Xiao was fighting and also experimenting. The eternal divine realm was different from the 4 realms and 9 realms. There were advantages to having a sturdy law, but there were also many disadvantages. This was because a person's body would become more resilient, and it would be extremely difficult to replicate and be reborn. Chapter 5079. Because it was so difficult to recover, there was a wide market for pills that could speed up limb regrowth in the eternal divine realm. Commander Lu's severed right arm could be recovered, but it would take at least a month. Otherwise, he'd have to use special pills or potions to recover. Clearly, with Commander Lu's status, he did not possess such a thing. In other words, he couldn't recover his right arm in a short time. That was the arm that he used as the main fighter. How could he fight without it? Damn it, Ice Cage! Commander Lu's first reaction was to protect himself. As long as he didn't die, he'd have a chance to live. In that instant, the Sea Serpent God wrapped around his entire body, forming a thick layer of ice. Even if Ling Xiao attacked with all his might, he couldn't break through the ice. But like all invincible defensive secret arts, this ice cage could only last for 30 seconds. The ice prison could only last for 30 seconds, and it would take an hour to use it again. Commander Lu had to think of a way to deal with it within those 30 seconds. Otherwise, he'd die the moment the ice cage collapsed. What's wrong with this guy? How can he be so strong? He's seriously inconsistent with the information. Is there something wrong with the information on the bounty list? Commander Lu had saved his life, but he was panicking. His opponent was too terrifying. Although they were equal in strength, his combat skills were far superior, especially in a way that was impossible to guard against. He couldn't deal with it at all. One mistake, and he'd lost his right arm, greatly reducing his combat strength. Although he could still fight, he couldn't compare to his peak state at all. Damn it, isn't this guy a seed from the 4 realms and 9 worlds? He's just a seed. Although he's talented, he can't be this strong. How can this be? I'm really in a desperate situation. At that moment, he recalled what Ling Xiao had said before. So he wasn't bluffing. It was a warning. Do you think you'll be fine as long as you hide in that ice cage? Don't you care about your subordinates? Ling Xiao didn't try to break out of the ice cage. Although he had a way, it was too strenuous. In any case, his goal was to kill all those who dared to hunt him down. Therefore, no one dared to touch his bounty list. At the very least, most people wouldn't dare to touch it. That way, he could live a more carefree life. What are you doing? Commander Lu asked in horror. Ling Xiao didn't say anything, but he had already used his actions to tell him. A demonic shadow flickered, and a 6th-level divine physique echelon martial artist fell to the ground. The corpse gradually dried up. The Void God sword absorbed all of its energy. Stop! Stop! Commander Lu roared in horror. Ling Xiao didn't pay any attention to Commander Lu. While attacking the cultivators from Blue Sea City, he coldly said, "Do you remember my warning from the beginning? I really don't want to kill anyone. I hope you can let me go. But you didn't. You guys are clamoring to kill me. If I'm not as strong as you guys, I'm afraid it's useless even if I beg for mercy now." Another sword strike killed 2 people at the same time. Ling Xiao's face was expressionless, as if he was fighting a group of puppets. Run! Blue Sea City's martial artists finally realized their fear. They didn't care about Commander Lu anymore, and all of them madly fled into the distance. Ling Xiao didn't chase after those who fled. He said that he would kill those who wanted to kill him, but he couldn't be bothered to chase after those who had lost their will to fight. The Black Desert was full of danger. No one knew what they would encounter, so it was better to be careful. This was the so-called "don't chase a cornered enemy." But even so, only half of the 50 or so people had managed to escape. The rest were killed by Ling Xiao. Unfortunately, the level of his divine essence still didn't increase. It seemed that the last level was quite difficult to increase. However, he wasn't in a hurry. Blue Sea City wasn't the only pursuers. There were others. All he needed to do was to kill all of them. He didn't believe that he wouldn't level up. You're really lucky. There were still 10 seconds before the ice prison. However, Ling Xiao discovered that 3 groups of pursuers had arrived at almost the same time. Dual Axe City's cavalry was awe-inspiring, and their horned tigers roared in the black wind. The leader was Xue Hongyi. When this guy saw Ling Xiao, his eyes turned red. He had been brooding over the fact that Ling Xiao stole his storage ring and the things inside. More importantly, he was actually defeated by Ling Xiao and his companions and fled. This was simply a humiliation to him. He had to take revenge. The current Ling Xiao wasn't afraid of Xue Hongyi at all. The problem was there was actually an early-stage Divine Body 8th level powerhouse beside Xue Hongyi. Ling Xiao couldn't resist that terrifying aura at all. Not only that, but the other group of people were also experts. These people were all dressed in black and had their faces covered. They were like ghosts in the black wind. The leader of the group had short, silver hair. He looked extremely fierce. Although his cultivation was on par with Commander Lu, an assassin was still an assassin. If Commander Lu fought with this person, he would probably be killed in 3 moves. He was definitely a terrifying guy. The people following him were all assassins, and each of them released a terrifying killing intent. It made one tremble with fear. There was another group of people. There weren't many of them, but they were all Divine Body 7th level powerhouses. Ling Xiao smelled a familiar scent from these people. A motley crew from the land of exile? But why do I feel that they are much stronger than before? Oh, right. The power of law in the eternal divine territory is different from the Heaven's Wall City. No wonder this is their true strength. These guys are called a motley crew, but they are not a motley crew at all. Ling Xiao frowned. The situation was much more serious than he had imagined. Facing these 3 groups of people at the same time, plus the team from Blue Sea City that hadn't been completely wiped out. Even if he got help from his companions, they might not be able to win. It seemed that he had to think of another way. The reason why Ling Xiao said that Commander Lu had a good life was because he was preparing to slip away. Commander Lu, I advise you to scram back to Blue Sea City. Otherwise, the next time we meet, I'll definitely take your life. Goodbye. Ling Xiao weighed the pros and cons. He knew that he couldn't fight head-on now, and he couldn't be surrounded by these 4 groups of people. So, it was better to retreat first. Now that his divine essence was at level 9, his speed advantage had basically been restored. In addition, there was the natural maze in the Black Desert. He easily shook off his pursuers and disappeared into the black wind. Only the curses and shouts of killing were left behind. A bunch of idiots. How can I stay and let you kill me? After a distance, Ling Xiao stopped. He didn't plan to escape. Retreating was just a strategy. Next, he would become a hunter. The other party's target was more obvious, and he was alone now. His companions were all in the universe world. In addition, he could rely on the Tai Chi eye and knew how to break the maze. So he could be more discreet. Chapter 5080. The enemy was out in the open, while they were in the dark. It was obvious that they had the upper hand. As long as he wasn't surrounded, he could kill all of them in the black desert. Boss, I want to fight too. Those guys are too despicable. Little Gold was dying. No rush. Let's try our luck first and see if we can find the Black Wind King. Maybe the Black Wind King can raise Cold Plum's divine origin level to the 10th grade. With 2 people at the 10th grade of the divine origin level, our combat power will obviously be stronger. As long as Cold Plum absorbs the Black Wind King, she can control the cactus army in the Black Desert. By then, we can kill the enemy even if we don't do it stealthily. Even though Ling Xiao was retreating strategically, there was a purpose behind it. It was because he had tasted the great benefits of raising the divine origin level. I can already sense the Black Wind King's location. Cold Plum suddenly said, "Master, there's an attack on the left." Cold Plum's senses were more sensitive than Ling Xiao's in places with many plants. Hearing Cold Plum's words, Ling Xiao had already used the Earth Elemental Golden Light technique to dodge. Although using the Earth Elemental Golden Light technique without releasing the Child God's Blood formation would consume a lot of energy. However, using it a few times was no problem. Just as he turned into a golden light and dodged, the terrifying attack landed. The target was the place he was standing just now. A large area of the desert was lifted up, forming a huge sand pit. If not for Cold Plum's warning, Ling Xiao would have lost his life from this attack. This attack was extremely swift and violent, and its power was extremely terrifying. Even a martial artist at the 8th level of the divine physique echelon would be in trouble, let alone him. What the hell is that? After Ling Xiao stood still, he looked at the monster in the distance. He couldn't see the monster's body at all. He could only see cactus spikes falling from the sandpit. "Oh no, it's the Black Wind King," Lan Chin exclaimed. "And this guy is much stronger than the rumors say. It's rumored that it's a monster at the peak of the 7th level of the divine physique echelon. But from the looks of it now, he's at least at the peak of the 8th level of the divine physique echelon." He judged it from the effect of the Black Wind King's attack. As a native of the eternal divine realm, this ability was essential. Any martial artist must have the ability to judge the opponent's cultivation through the opponent's attack and defense. That's right. He's at the peak of the 8th level divine body realm. Ling Xiao frowned. He was sure, because that was what the Taiji had told him. Soon after, he smiled and said, "What I wish for really comes true, although it's a little dangerous." However, as long as he could capture the Black Wind King, Cold Plum's God Yuan would definitely increase by 10 levels. We've already sounded the horn of counterattack. It's impossible for us not to annihilate the enemy. Not again. Ling Xiao, who had locked onto his target, naturally wouldn't be so easily ambushed. In that instant, he felt a surge of power from underground. He retreated and stabbed the Void God sword into the ground. 9 streaks of sword chi pierced the target along the gravel. The feeling was very real. Roar! Something let out a painful hiss. Ling Xiao knew that his attack was effective. Although his strength was far from the Black Wind King's, the Black Wind King's body was huge. If he targeted his attack, it would naturally be effective. His attack just now should have left a wound on the Black Wind King's body. However, it probably wouldn't have much of an impact. A monster at the peak of the 8th level of the divine physique echelon was stronger than martial artists of the same level. No matter how confident Ling Xiao was, he didn't think that he could seriously injure the opponent with his strength. At most, it would be a light injury. And this was with the power of the Void God sword in his hand. However, even if it was just a scratch, it was enough for Ling Xiao. He had already released the bloodthirsty plague through the wound. He also released a powerful poison. Although he didn't dare to say that it could kill the opponent, it would definitely have some impact on the enemy. Everyone, let's fight together. Beat this guy until he's weak, then hand him over to Cold Plum. Ling Xiao released Little Gold, Yu Fanghua, and Long Qin. Cold Plum didn't need to fight for the time being. She needed to focus her energy on the final attack. She used the ancient war tree to absorb the Black Wind King's ability. She found out from Long Qin that the Black Wind King had 3 abilities. The first was to control the black wind. The second was to absorb water. As long as it was liquid, it could basically absorb it. The third was to control black sand. The combination of these 3 abilities gave the Black Wind King the ability to challenge those of a higher level. It would be very difficult to kill it. However, Yu Fanghua had Little Black as a helper. If they really couldn't do it, they could ask Little Black for help. However, Ling Xiao felt that with the few of them working together, they should be able to control the Black Wind King. When the battle started, Little Gold, Yu Fanghua, and Long Qin were in charge of restraining the Black Wind King. At this moment, Long Qin's strength could be seen. Little Gold's divine essence was only at the 3rd level. Yu Fanghua's divine essence was at the 2nd level. Long Qin's divine essence was at the 10th level. He could fully unleash the strength of a peak 7th level divine physique echelon expert. Together with the Golden Dragon's body, he became the main defender. He blocked the attacks for Little Gold and Yu Fanghua. Little Gold and Yu Fanghua attacked continuously to weaken the Black Wind King. Ling Xiao activated the Dragon God's Ice Array Diagram and the Invincible Ape God Array Diagram at the same time. One was used to slow down the Black Wind King's attack speed, while the other was used to strengthen its defense. In a team battle, his array diagram was very helpful. After that, Ling Xiao also joined the battle. This time he used his undying godly physique. His entire body was wrapped in strange flames. His divine essence was already at the 9th level, and his combat strength was close to perfect. In addition to the undying godly physique and the Sky Tyrant possession ability, the power of the strange flames could be seen. Although the strange flames couldn't leave the body to attack, it could be wrapped around the body, and close the distance to attack wasn't a problem. Although the Black Wind King was extremely powerful, its speed was still inferior to Ling Xiao's. Of course, there was no problem with the strategy. However, there were many unforeseen events in a battle. The Black Wind King's strength had truly been shown to these people. This guy could actually condense many cactus clones made of black sand. With the help of the Black Wind, it was impossible to tell which was real and which was fake. This caused many of their attacks to be ineffective. Not only that, as long as he was close to the Black Wind King, Ling Xiao could feel the blood in his body being sucked out. As long as there was a wound on his body, he would probably be sucked dry by the Black Wind King. Therefore, he had to be extra careful not to get injured. However, this was easier said than done. The cactus thorns released by the Black Wind King were wrapped in the black wind and sand. It was simply impossible to guard against. Even with the protection of the invincible Ape God Array Diagram, the difference in strength was too great. A few people were still injured, including Ling Xiao. Although he wasn't seriously injured, there were many small wounds all over his body. The Black Wind King took advantage of this and began to crazily suck Ling Xiao's blood. Chapter 5081. You dare to suck my blood? You really have guts. Ling Xiao sneered, completely unguarded, allowing the Black Wind King to suck his blood. One had to know that the blood in his body had already merged with the dual wills of the divine Dragon King and the human king. In addition, he had the burning ability of the divine fire. He didn't take the initiative to attack his opponent with his blood because he was afraid of pain. But if his opponent took the initiative to suck his blood, it was purely courting death. Ling Zhao's skin gradually turned white. The Black Wind King suddenly shrieked in pain. Its whole body shook violently and it was in extreme pain. Cold Plum, it's your turn. Although Ling Zhao lost a lot of blood, this wasn't a problem. He could use the bloodthirsty plague to recover it later. The key was whether Cold Plum could succeed in the end. The moment Cold Plum was released, she released the ancient war tree, and the ancient tree's vines frantically wrapped around the Black Wind King. She started to absorb the Black Wind King's power. Hurry up and heal. With such a big commotion, someone will probably come over. Cold Plum had already restrained the Black Wind King with everyone's help. Now Longqin, Yufenghua, and Xiao Jin could all rest. The Black Wind King let out a shrill scream, trying to break free from the ancient war tree's attack. But it was useless. At this moment, Ling Zhao's blood was still causing trouble in its body. It asked for this. If it didn't do this, this battle probably wouldn't have ended so easily. Master, you can take back your blood. I have completely controlled this guy. Next, it's time to fuse. After more than 10 minutes, Cold Plum said, Okay. Ling Zhao took back the goo poison and the bloodthirsty plague. The lost blood instantly fused into his body. His skin color returned to normal. More than 10 minutes passed. The Black Wind King had completely disappeared, completely fusing into the ancient war tree. Hurry up and fuse, Ling Zhao said as he pulled Lung Mei back into the Qinquan world. I didn't expect that the Black Wind King would be so easily killed by you after dominating the Black Desert for so long. Brother Ling, who exactly are you? Lan Qin was also dumbfounded. When Ling Zhao's blood was being sucked out, he was extremely worried. But what happened next was simply beyond his imagination. According to his understanding, only the bloodline of a powerful god's descendant could make the Black Wind King feel so uncomfortable. I'm just a seed chosen by the 4 domains and 9 worlds. Don't overthink it. I just had a fortuitous encounter and obtained a powerful bloodline power. I really don't have any backing. Ling Zhao smiled. No matter what, you've succeeded. That's the hardest part. They're coming. What should we do? Xiao Jin asked. Cold Plum, how much longer do you need? Ling Zhao asked. About 10 minutes should be enough. Cold Plum said, Also, as long as I fuse with the Black Wind King, I can control all the cacti in the Black Desert. When the time comes, the scene will definitely satisfy Master. Okay, I'll give you 10 minutes. Ling Zhao smiled. It was time to put an end to this. Facing the 4 forces, he didn't leave. Instead, he stood there and waited. Although he wasn't a match for these people, it wouldn't be a problem to delay them for 10 minutes. As long as Cold Plum finished fusing with the Black Wind King, this Black Desert would be their world. In order to stall for time, he took the opportunity to set up more than 10 formations. They were all set up with formation refining stones. They probably wouldn't be lethal to martial artists above the 6th level of the divine physique echelon, but they could stop them, delay them. Then he just stood there as if waiting for a friend. You're all so slow. I've been waiting for a long time. When the 4 forces gathered, they thought Ling Zhao would take the opportunity to escape. But who would have thought that this guy would just stand there and say such arrogant words? These 4 forces were actually quite miserable. Blue Sea City was the most depressed. Commander Lu lost an arm, and there were only about 20 people left. There were almost 100 people left from Dual Axe City. It should be the expert beside Xue Hongyi who showed his power. There were more than 60 assassins from the Dark God Palace when they came, but there were only about 30 left now. None of the martial artists from the Land of Exile died. There were 12 of them when they came, and there were still 12 of them now. Without waiting for them to speak, Ling Xiao looked at Commander Lu and said, "I told you to go back. Looks like you brought people here to die again. Fine. Since that's the case, I'll give you a quick death later." Commander Lu's face turned ugly. He really didn't want to chase after Ling Xiao anymore. But if he went back like this, he definitely wouldn't be able to report back. He could only join forces with the other 3 forces. Maybe he could get a share of the loot. However, when he saw Ling Xiao's calm and smiling face, he immediately lost his confidence. Pretentious bastard, go to hell. Unknowingly, 2 assassins actually snuck up behind Ling Xiao. They suddenly dashed out from the desert and stabbed their sharp daggers toward Ling Xiao. The Dark God Palace assassin revealed a cold smile. Although he didn't know where the illusion butterfly went, it was just right. If he killed Ling Xiao, the merit would be his alone. Just as the daggers were about to pierce Ling Xiao's body, suddenly 2 bolts of lightning descended from the sky. The 2 assassins were blasted to the ground. Then 2 sharp poisonous spikes emerged from the ground and directly pierced through the 2 assassins' bodies. The Lesser Myriad Lightning Destroyer Formation and the Earth Spear Poisonous Spike Formation weren't very powerful. But killing 2 defenseless 5th-level Divine Physique Echelon assassins wasn't a problem. What? Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. As expected, Ling Xiao wasn't bluffing. This guy had long set up a trap here and was waiting for them to jump into it. "I told you not to be careless. This kid isn't as easy to deal with as we thought," Commander Lu said with a gloomy face. The Blue Sea City martial artists behind him were also trembling with fear as they stared at their surroundings, afraid that an attack would suddenly come. Previously, they were already scared of Ling Xiao. If it weren't for the fact that they were worried that they wouldn't be able to complete the mission, they wouldn't have taken the risk to chase after Ling Xiao. "It's just a weak formation. Look at how scared you are," Shui Hongyi said with disdain. "If you're scared, you can scram. Anyway, with your current strength, you won't be able to help us much. Why don't the rest of you leave too? Our dual axe city will be able to take down this kid." The reason Shui Hongyi was so scared was because he was powerful. Of course, it was because of the 8th-level Divine Physique Echelon expert beside him. He had humiliated the cultivators of Blue Sea City because of the competitive relationship between Twin Axe City and Blue Sea City. Shut your stinky mouth. Do you want to be enemies with the Dark God Palace? Believe it or not, even if that 8th-level Divine Physique Echelon martial artist protects you, I can still kill you. Shui Hongyi's temper wasn't good either. He stared at Shui Hongyi and sneered. As an assassin, he could always unleash strength that was stronger than his own cultivation. Otherwise, he wouldn't be a qualified assassin. Chapter 5082. A bunch of idiots. You still can't see the situation in front of you. Talk to me again after we take down Ling Xiao. The leader of the exiles spoke. This was a young man with disheveled hair. He was only about 20 years old, but his strength was even more terrifying than Shui Yi's. No one dared to underestimate him. His name was Yi Han, a young man who was once born in the divine nation of the human race. It was a pity that his family's fortunes had fallen, and he had been implicated and exiled. However, Yi Han had never given up on the chance to step back into the upper class. Ling Xiao's bounty was his chance. He didn't want to miss it. A mere prisoner from the exiles dares to be so impudent. After we take care of that kid, you'll be done for. Shui Yi sneered. I believe that capturing 12 powerful fugitives is a good thing for Dual Axe City. Humph, you have to be alive to return. Yi Hantian snorted and called for the people behind him to approach Ling Xiao. I already said that kid is ours. Warriors of Dual Axe City, attack. Shui Yi didn't want to wait any longer. With so many competitors, no one knew if Ling Xiao would still be alive in the next moment. Although the 2 assassins from the Dark God Palace had been killed by Ling Xiao they were only at the 5th level of the divine body realm. Moreover, Ling Xiao must have expended a lot of energy to kill them. Shui believed in his judgment. Ling Xiao watched as the martial artists of Dual Axe City rushed over. He checked the time with his time treasure. Only 3 minutes had passed. It seemed that he had to hold on a little longer, although he didn't need Cold Plum's ability to deal with this trash. Cold Plum's ability was necessary to deal with those experts. Then he would deal with the trash first. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao activated all the formations that he had set up in advance. At the same time, he activated the Sun God's Blood Formation and the Snake God's Poison Formation. The Bloodthirsty Plague was an area of effect attack. In addition to the power of the formations, it was enough to make many martial artists lose their ability to fight. At this moment, Ling Xiao released Xiao, Jin, Yufeng Hua, and Long Qin from the Qinquan world. In the end, they would have to do it themselves. The power of the formation was not enough. At this moment, the 4 forces gathered together and surrounded Ling Xiao. And this was what Ling Xiao wanted the most. He set up a formation around himself. The moment it was activated, lightning was equally famous. Flames swallowed and spat. The wind roared. The black gravel turned into life-devouring vipers. The scene was in chaos. Screams of agony intertwined together. Although the power of these formations was not enough to kill all the cultivators, it was still not enough to kill them all. But it could affect everyone. Within the Snake God's Poison Domains array diagram, the myriad snakes activated. Tens of thousands of venomous snakes pounced on their respective targets, biting those martial artists until they fled in panic. How could he still have the mind to attack Ling Xiao? Furthermore, Ling Xiao had already disappeared. He had entered the crowd with the holy ground demonic shadow and began to harvest lives in a frenzy. Mercy was the most useless thing at this moment. Take advantage of the other party's weakness. Ling Xiao wanted to kill all the cultivators who dared to chase after him. Xiao Jin transformed into a giant golden crow and pounced into the crowd with monstrous flames and lightning. Long Qin transformed into a giant golden dragon. With his combat power, all the cultivators below the 7th level of the divine body realm could not withstand his attack. All of them were killed. Yufeng Hua was like rays of moonlight shining on the crowd. The cultivators who were hit by the moonlight would feel their entire bodies turn cold and their movements slow down. Some cultivators even froze to death on the spot. Even if they did not die, they would be poisoned to death and tortured to death by the bloodthirsty plague. Damn it, this guy actually set up so many formations. Run, this is a trap. Help. The sudden turn of events caused all the pursuers to fall into a state of panic. Even the 8th level divine body realm cultivator from Dual Axe City could only protect himself and Shui Hongi with all his might. He could not help the others either. The attack came so suddenly that they did not know where the enemy was. Even if they wanted to attack, they did not know who to attack. This wave of attack caused the pursuers to suffer heavy losses. It could be said that this kind of loss was something they had never imagined and did not dare to imagine. Most of the cultivators were killed. Even the cultivators who did not die were poisoned and lost their combat power. If they did not receive treatment in time, they would not be able to escape death. After about a minute of fighting, the experts among the pursuers gradually turned the tables. They broke the formations that were not very strong to begin with. Yi Han's performance was the most outstanding. Yi Han seemed to know formations too. When they were ambushed this time, none of the 12 people from the land of exile died. The other 3 forces suffered heavy losses. Only Commander Liu was left in Blue Sea City. Only Shui Hongi and the 8th level divine body realm cultivator were left in Dual Axe City. The Dark God Palace had 3 assassins left, all of whom were 7th level divine body realm cultivators. Are you still so arrogant now? Yi Han said coldly, let's work together. This Ling Xiao is much more troublesome than we thought. If we fight separately, we will all die here. If it was before, no one would care about the words of an exiled criminal. But it was different now. The land of exile suffered the least losses, and the combined strength of the 12 people was stronger than any of their forces. They had to listen. Moreover, the current situation did not allow them to fight among themselves. If they had worked together to attack Ling Xiao from the beginning, the situation might not have been like this. Let's work together. Shui Hongyi gritted his teeth. It was humiliating to listen to an exiled criminal, but he did not care now. A god, holding 2 axes, appeared behind him. It was the dual axe city's god, Martial Soul, the axe god. It seemed to be a low-level god, but it was much stronger than those unrated god Martial Souls. Shui Hongyi was a genius to be able to unleash the power of a mid-level god Martial Soul with this low-level god Martial Soul. Since Shui Hongyi had spoken, the expert beside him naturally would not refuse. That person released his martial soul at the same time. It was also the axe god martial soul, but upon closer inspection, there was an obvious difference. This person's cultivation was higher than Shui Hongyi's, but his axe god martial soul was clearly inferior. There was a saying that a god martial soul would gradually become stronger as the martial artist grew stronger. It could even be upgraded by continuously defeating high-level god martial souls. Of course, this was only a saying among the people. No one had actually verified it, but there was an indisputable fact that some martial artists could make their martial souls incomparably powerful even if they were both low-level god martial souls. Dual Axe City was ready to attack. Commander Lu naturally would not run away. His brothers had already been killed. Even if he returned alive, he would die. With a roar, he released his sea serpent god martial soul. His severed right arm reappeared in the form of an ice sculpture. Although it was not as good as his original arm, it could be used temporarily. The 4 assassins of the Dark God Palace also released their martial souls. Chapter 5083. Silvertooth was furious. Someone had killed so many of his subordinates in front of him. This made him furious. He had to get results today. Otherwise, he would be punished when he returned to the Dark God Palace. Those who could fight gathered together, trying to deal with the cunning Ling Xiao together. Ling Xiao had already put Yufeng Hua, Long Chen, and Little Gold into the universe world. With the cover of the formation, the enemy did not notice their presence. Therefore, they would still be needed for a sneak attack later. Behind them, those who were lucky enough to survive were taking the time to heal their wounds. Hey, it's been 10 minutes. Facing the encirclement of experts, Ling Xiao suddenly laughed. 10 minutes? Everyone felt a little baffled. What 10 minutes? However, they knew in the next moment. A large number of cacti had emerged from the ground of the Black Desert. They had fought with them before, so the pursuers knew how terrifying these monsters were. They did not understand what had happened. In the end, those martial artists who were healing their wounds were all killed. Apart from Silvertooth, the remaining 4 assassins from the Dark God Palace were also killed by Cold Plum's ancient war tree. Cold Plum had indeed reached the 10th level of the Divine Essence Realm. She could already unleash the combat power of a peak 7th level Divine Body Realm cultivator. Apart from Yi Han, Silvertooth, Blood Red Robe Commander Lu, and that 8th level Divine Body Realm Martial Artist. The rest could not stop him. Therefore, not only was the Dark God Palace unlucky, but 5 of the Land of Exile's experts who had not been injured died in an instant. Even Yi Han did not expect this to happen. Who would have thought that the Black Wind King of the Black Desert would help Ling Xiao? This was really too strange. Commander Lu, it's time for you to die. Cold Plum restrained the enemy, while Ling Xiao unleashed his full combat power. He pounced on Commander Lu. He wanted to start with the weakest. He wanted to kill Commander Lu, who had lost an arm first. Uncle Zhang, protect him. We can't lose any more experts now. Originally, the blood-red coat would not care about Commander Lu's death. However, the current situation was that if he didn't help Commander Lu would definitely die. At that time, they would lose a powerhouse, and the situation would become even more troublesome. Your opponent is me. Long Chen suddenly appeared and blocked that powerhouse, surnamed Zhang. The golden dragon's imposing body stood there, not giving Zhang any chance. Long Chen might not be a match for this person, but he could definitely stop this person. In that split second, Ling Xiao had already arrived in front of Commander Lu. Commander Lu glared at Ling Xiao and said, "Do you really think I'm a pushover? This time, you won't be able to return." He felt that he had been completely underestimated. Although he had lost his right arm, he had now made an artificial arm out of ice. He was fully capable of fighting. The saber in his hand condensed a powerful ice energy. He suddenly slashed at Ling Xiao, who was rushing over. "I'm sorry, you're already dead." The corners of Ling Xiao's mouth curled into a hint of a smile. When his divine essence level rose to level 9, the void-shattering power and cosmic power had already recovered, although the cosmic power could only stop time for a second now. The effect was much worse than when it was in the 4 regions and 9 worlds. However, it was more than enough to deal with a martial artist of the same level. Cosmic power, time stop. In that instant, Commander Lu's entire person fell into a state of stillness, including his thoughts, completely stopped. And Ling Xiao's reverse god sword had already pierced his body. The reverse god art's 9-word style completely erupted. 9 sword lights darted into Commander Lu's body. It produced an explosive power. Although at this time, Commander Lu had returned to normal. However, what he could do was very limited. At most, I'll die together with you. He knew that he couldn't live anymore, so he might as well give up on life. The saber still slashed at Ling Xiao. In his opinion, even if he died, Ling Xiao would have to pay a heavy price. He might even be killed by him. It didn't matter even if he made a wedding dress for others. He didn't care. As long as he could kill Ling Xiao, he didn't care about anything else. But in the next moment, the smile on his face abruptly stopped, because Ling Xiao's left hand grabbed his saber. His attack was easily neutralized. Don't forget, the hand of eternal life that Ling Xiao wore on his left hand was also an emperor weapon with a divine dragon pattern. It was the same quality as the saber in Commander Lu's hand, and Commander Lu couldn't unleash his peak strength at all. Under this situation, Ling Xiao's advantage was even more obvious. I've said it before, you can die in peace. Don't make any more pointless struggles. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, and the reverse god sword erupted. In a moment, the energy in Commander Lu's body was completely absorbed. Commander Lu died tragically on the spot. TSK, it hasn't leveled up yet. Ling Xiao could feel that the quality of his divine essence had increased, but it still hadn't reached the level of leveling up. He found that it was much more difficult for his divine essence to level up than Long Chen and Cold Plum. This was probably because the quality of his divine essence was higher. It was really tough, but if Commander Lu couldn't do it, there were other experts. Let's get rid of those trash in the land of exile first. Ling Xiao sneered, and his figure flashed. He scuttled over. The remaining 5 people in the land of exile, including Yihan, were all pinned down by Cold Plum, and the dark god palace's Yinya was surrounded by a bunch of cacti. The blood-red shirt was under the joint attack of Yu Fenghua and Little Gold. Although Yu Fenghua and Little Gold were currently at a disadvantage, but they wouldn't be defeated in a short period of time. After all, with Ling Xiao's sun god's blood formation, the bloodthirsty plague had already weakened all the experts by a lot. Stop! Yihan saw Ling Xiao's actions and shouted anxiously. Unfortunately, Ling Xiao didn't care about his shouts. When the reverse god sword was used, it almost killed one person with each slash. Although a 7th level divine body realm martial artist was extremely powerful, it was a pity that after Ling Xiao used the Sky Tyrant possession, his combat power was comparable to a peak 7th level divine body realm martial artist. Now, the Land of Exile's martial artists were pinned down by Cold Plum. It was even easier for him to sneak up on them for slashes, and 4 people were killed. Finally, at that moment, the level of his divine essence increased. It reached the level of level 10. Ling Xiao felt an abundant energy being released from his body. What was even more strange was that he felt that the surrounding environment had become more intimate, and it was no longer that uncomfortable atmosphere. Damn it, just you wait. Yi Han was too decisive. Seeing that all his companions were killed in battle, he actually chose to escape. Even Ling Xiao couldn't stop him. The release of the martial soul barrier also required certain conditions to be met. It couldn't be released just like that. This Yi Han might become a strong opponent in the future. Ling Xiao felt that he had a good eye for people. People like Yi Han could save their lives if they ran away the moment they realized something was wrong. He didn't think that Commander Lu would insist on fighting to the death, even though he clearly couldn't. In the end, it caused him to lose his life. Cold Plum, you deal with Inya. Feng Hua, Little Gold, the 2 of you help Long Qin deal with that Zhang guy. Leave Shui Hongyi to me. I want revenge. Ling Xiao revealed a sinister smile. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.